subscribe. Subscribe to my guy, Uncle D. Tell him Big Bad sent you.
Spurling. I'm an attorney here in Houston, Texas. An advocate for black men, largely because I am a black man. I'm a black father. I have black sons. Hey man, I do what I do.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the broadcast, man. Shout out to everybody in the chat room, man. Y'all hit the #1 button and let me know you are in here like swimwear. My name is Dennis Spurling. This is the Dennis Spurling podcast, known affectionately to my nephews as Uncle D and to the haters as the Blizzard King, because I come with the cold, hard truth. And we got a hot one for you tonight, even though it's going to be delivered with a lot of frost, man. Big shout out to everybody. You guys make sure that when you check in, you let me know where you're from. Hit the #1 button, because that symbolizes you putting yourself first in this world full of people who will put you last. We have been having some tough conversations about the ongoing immigrant raids and riots and so on and so forth. And, you know, I want to begin to put this in context for you, because this is clearly an aberration. This is not normal. You literally have federal agents jumping out and taking people and arresting them for no apparent reason at all, other than the fact that they may or may not be here illegally. This has never been done before. And so in a situation like this, we want to make heads or tails of what's going on, okay? But I'm going to start this out by telling you all that America is a machine. America is not a country that you can get cozy in and you can sit back and retire unless you're extremely wealthy, and even then you become a target. America is a machine, and like any machine, when a part goes bad, it is removed. When we have a situation where we have an abundance of labor and there is no need for that labor anymore, then that labor is quickly removed. Now, I'm going to dig so deep into this, man, we're going to come out the other side. But in the meanwhile, I, like I often do, have compiled footage, and I will have this playing on my, I'll let it all play live on my YouTube page at some point in the near future. But I've compiled this footage just to kind of bring it on home. And of course, we do these things for posterity. I know people will be looking back on this in years to come. And so what we want to do is make sure that we show you the climate that we exist in right now. Wouldn't it be great if we had more video footage from the 1950s and the 1940s? Wouldn't it be great if we had more video footage from the 1970s and 80s where we could see actually what's going on? Well, that's what I'm doing now. So this is something like a video library. But in the meantime, you guys know my one request. I'm not asking you for anything, but if you learn something, then I should earn something. If you learn something, then I should earn something. I don't want anything for free. I'm not out here begging for cash apps and super chats, but I do expect to be paid, compensated for my time. And so in this particular regard, I want to make sure that if you learn something, that I should earn something. That being the case, big shout out to my man Alonzo Dunn. Uncle D, been a minute, glad to catch you. Thank you so much, brother. Thank you for being the first person to contribute to the super chat. Without further ado, let's go ahead and let this footage play. Fair use, fair use, fair use.
No, fuck that.
No, what the fuck? What the fuck? We literally just...
Right.
No, where the fuck is your warrant? Where's your warrant? We've been following you bitches around. Fuck you guys, and you fucking left our bikes here? Fuck you! Fuck you, you fucking bitches! Fuck you! Fuck you! And it's the same fucking guy from Pico! And it's the same fucking guy from Pico! It's the same fucking guy from Pico! You fucking bitch! Fuck you!
Man.
Fuck you!
Man.
Fuck you!
Man, with the language.
No, fuck you, you fucking
Fair use.
bitches!
Fair
Fuck
use.
you! You fucking asshole! They literally just took those two
That's
guys!
a lot of
They
profanity.
just fucking took those two guys!
I understand their emotions.
Whatever, dude. Why are you protecting them?
Not their job, baby. It's not their job. Police are not going to protect you from the
They went
federal
down
agents
there. They took two guys.
to catch a charge. Okay? They don't care if you're working. That's the whole point. That's why they're attacking people who are working. They want to get you out of here.
It was the same fucking guy from Pico, baby. It was that same dumb bitch.
Yeah. So she was clearly upset. You hear the profanity.
These Mexicans need to do their homework. Talking about this is stolen land.
Uh-oh, here you go.
America stole this from Mexico. No. Spain ruled Mexico for 300 years.
That's true. That's true, brother. Kind of
Y'all didn't get in control until after fighting Spain for 300 years.
Yeah, that's true. Right.
Then, broke motherfuckers sold it to the United States. Phoenix, Texas, all the motherfuckers, all them states. New Mexico, California, y'all sold it for $15 million. And to be honest with you, it was a black man that ruled Mexico.
He was
Spaniard.
He was half black.
Y'all killed him.
Yeah,
and that's when y'all took control of Mexico.
Yeah.
So, I don't want to hear that shit. Y'all sold California and all these other states over here for $15 million. Go do your homework.
Brothers, look, I'm not, look, man.
Okay. Hey, open the car. You trying to hit my car? I didn't try to hit your car. You're trying to avoid your car. Open the car. Just unlock the door. I'm trying to avoid your car.
I mean, I just want you all to take this all in. They're literally jumping out and snatching people out of cars. You understand me? They jump out boys. Somebody type jump out boys in the chat room. They're jumping out, they're snatching people out of their cars. You understand me? Like this is unheard of. You see what I mean? Like no warrants, no nothing. Just you're out of here. Gone. Okay. And this is what we see happening right now. They are gone. And this is not something that we're used to as Americans. This is some third world type stuff they got going on. And a lot of people are finding it difficult to wrap their minds around that this is the America, that they live in right now. And they find it, quite stressing. It's stressful to them, but this is it. The brother, as you see, a lot of Mexican people specifically, and of course, it's not just Latinos. And Latinos are a divergent group. You have Latinos from all over South America, Central America, etc., in the Caribbean. And it's not just Latinos getting snatched up. You also have people of other ethnicities. But it seems to me the Latinos are the main targets. So let's keep that in mind. I want you all to keep that in mind. All right, but let's keep listening.
Partner, bro. Unlock the door. I'm not trying to hit you guys. Open the car. I'm not trying to hit Open the car. Don't look. Open the door.
Yeah. They ain't playing.
You just tried to swerve and hit the car. I did not try to hit the car. Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
Now look what you got.
And see here, these protests, these anti-ICE raid protests by Latino folks, they're very unorganized. It's very random. When we did protests, when I say we, I'm talking about Black Americans, foundational Black Americans. It was led from the top. Even our so-called bourgeoisie, our elite amongst Black America came together. We even worked with the homies in the community, and everybody was all hands on deck. Everybody participated in protesting against ICE. It was a concerted effort. It was intelligent. It was thoughtful. It wasn't this random stuff. This man is basically following federal agents around, and they have no idea why he's following. So now they have probable cause and pull him out to search him. And so this is one of the shortcomings of their protest. But we're going to keep listening. You guys hit the #1 button.
What other trouble you gonna be in? Hey, was it worth it?
Bro,
Was it worth it?
bro, you swear like I'm trying to hit you guys.
Yeah,
I'm
where's
just
that?
trying to
Look,
take
the camera.
Like-
Everything's being recorded too.
I know it's being recorded.
You try to
I
hit
ain't
the
trying to,
officer.
I am not trying to hit no
Why would you
officer.
swerve?
That's
What,
what
I'm
you
trying
saying
to
now.
avoid the officer.
No, we
I'm not, no, bro, you guys are calling.
Okay.
Hey, it's all right. You know, I know you guys are doing what you guys doing. I'm just watching out for my people. That's it.
And what people
My
are
people.
here?
My
No,
people
you guys,
in the
you know
chat
what you're
room.
doing, bro. I know what it is.
So you can
But
record from
yeah,
afar.
I got
The
you.
officer
But
stopped you.
you think I'm gonna actually try to hit you guys?
You swear. I was in
I'm
the
from
car.
California.
That's what they're gonna say you did, sir.
Oh no, I'm from California, bro. I got no. Do you, hey, I'm cool. I'm cool.
You cool now,
You know,
sir.
you guys think that I'm trying to hit you right now? I'm not trying to hit
You're
you.
trying to obstruct federal agents while they're conducting investigations. That's what you're doing.
You hear what he did?
Do you understand that?
Obstructing?
You running up. You're interfering with a federal agent. That's 10 years. Somebody type 10 in the pen. Somebody type Fed time in the chat room. Somebody type that Diddy. They was trying to give him that Diddy. That 10. Hit the number 1 button.
You're obstructing. That's what you're doing. Do you understand that? We can press federal charges.
Bro, I'm not obstructing.
That's what we do.
Okay.
Okay?
I'm not,
You understand?
I understand.
Listen.
Yeah.
My partner's saying you can record from afar. When you
I want
start
you all
following
to
us
keep
and
in
telling
mind-
us, you're creating an unsafe environment for
A lot
everybody.
of these
Okay?
ICE
And at
agents
that time, you're impeding and obstructing federal investigations.
All right.
Do you understand
Are
that?
I thought it was like, I thought it
They're
was, if I
PO,
go in the
correctional
way of you guys while you guys are in
You think
investigating.
lot
you're
of them
not
are
following us?
correctional
It's not getting in the way?
No.
Many of them are
Creating an
Latino.
unsafe environment for everybody involved.
I don't know. I don't have no
Hey,
guys,
give me his
bro.
license.
I'm just from a distance, bro. That's all I was doing. I'm not trying to.
Now you all bro. They bro. You chill now. You was turned up before when you was following after the feds. Now they on you. Okay? They on you now, man. I'm just telling you.
I'm not. You could even look at my record. I have no record, bro.
Oh, I got it. I already stopped right here.
No.
Get off the truck.
All this thing.
Come on, y'all gotta move.
You won't take my fucking people! Don't take my fucking people! Don't kill me! Don't kill me!
Look at the white. I want you to look at what this white woman doing. And look, I know it's a lot of white people, but white people are giving the play-by-play. They're doing a lot of performative things. Okay, I just want you all to understand that. Let's really analyze the sincerity of this, especially white women who voted for Donald Trump. Okay, the only people who are 100% innocent in this situation are Black Americans, who 82% of which voted for Kamala Harris, even though she would not have necessarily been in our best interest. It is actually in the interest of Black Americans to have the immigrants who are in this country, illegal or otherwise, removed, because Black people then fill those spots. We benefit from that directly. Yet and still, we voted against deportation when we voted for Kamala Harris. Everybody else, even Latinos, you voted for this. This is what you asked for. Okay, and now you got white folks out here performing. Somebody type performing in the chat. She's a performer. She's performing. Okay, but let's keep listening.
Don't touch me! Don't kill me!
Okay, get out!
Touch me, bitch! Get the fuck off me, bitch! Stop! Stop! You're gonna run her over! Stop! You're gonna run her over!
Melissa, you gotta go.
I'm not getting out!
Stop it!
Look at her back. That's more exercise. This is more exercise than she's had in years. I can tell you that now. But let's keep going.
Please don't kill me! Don't kill me! Don't kill me! I'm a person! I'm a fucking person! Don't fucking kill me! Don't kill me!
Man.
Don't kill me!
Man.
Don't kill me! Don't fucking kill me! Don't fucking kill me! Don't fucking kill me!
If you don't get your whole self from in front of that mic truck,
Let my fucking people go!
get a boosty cage. She out there, she need a boosty cage. That's what she needs. Somebody type get your ass. Somebody type get.
Let go.
The note.
Let my people go!
Somebody needs to turn this into a rap song. That high pitch, I need that to be a rap. That's a hell of a hook.
Let my people go!
That's some heavy rocking, that's some heavy metal.
These are parents.
Let my people go!
You don't get those notes every day. Okay?
But then being blamed as if we came outside.
Uh-huh.
Only video I've seen a black person outside is when a Hispanic woman gets shot with a rubber bullet and she goes to aid the woman, wrap up the woman's wounds, and comfort her. But yet, we're rioting and looting.
Yeah,
We're trying to avoid martial law. We don't want to go to jail.
You don't.
Violence is always amped up more when we're around.
They waiting for you to come out there.
You can't want our help at the same breath accuse us of crimes that we're not committing.
Right. So she's referring to the Latino guest on a show who said, oh no, it's actually the black people that we invited out there who are doing the rioting. Are you kidding me? If you don't go and find a damn hole in the wall and crawl in it, that's why you don't go outside. No outside this summer. Keep listening.
My heart goes out to these people that are being persecuted. Their families being snatched away.
Yeah.
All of this just is ridiculous to me and uncalled for.
Well, I wouldn't say that. It's called for.
But please leave us out of it.
Don't put us in it.
At this point, just it's a no.
We're not in it. No, we're not.
Leave us alone.
We want to be left alone. It's not us.
And that's all I have to say. Just leave us alone.
Thank you. We agree. We agree. Thank you, light-skinned ladies. We agree.
Man, listen, I already knew it was going to happen. This is the craziness that I'm talking about. They want to start a war. Let me tell y'all, black people, y'all better keep y'all behinds in the house.
Yep, we in the house.
Especially in LA. They are already saying that the black community is the ones that's causing the riots and causing the craziness and causing the fights and everything. That is not true. Y'all know that's not true. This is the reason why we are advocating and telling y'all to do not go out there and protest and march. No, let them handle it on their own. Let them fight for them. We tried to do this when
we tried to do it when we voted. You understand that? We voted. Somebody typed 82% in the chat room. Now, not me, okay? I just want y'all to know. It wasn't me. I voted for Trump, okay? And the reason I voted for Trump, because I got a lot of kids, okay? 3 of them, and I got bills to pay, and I'm tired of paying all these high taxes. So, okay? And I wanted cheap gas and cheap eggs because my kids eat a lot, all right? Not me. But what I mean is the good black people. Shout out to the 82%. You beautiful, wonderful, fantastic black people that tried to save America again. You get a hand clap. You black people, I'm looking at you right now. I see you. You did it. You voted for it. You was trying to save these people. You're caring, loving people. Okay, you're wonderful people. Not me. Not me, though. I voted for Trump. I'm here for it, okay? Not me. I'm talking about y'all. Shout out to all the ladies, all the black women, 92% of black women. Beautiful, beautiful. Y'all try to save these people, okay? Not me, though. I got to pay for cat food. I got 3 cats. I got Buddy, I got Buddy's buddy, and I got another little cat named Vito that just showed up, and so I got to take care of him, too, okay? What I'm trying to tell y'all is we did our part. You understand me? We did our part. Let's keep listening.
Marching, they did not march with us. When we were protesting, they did not protest with us. No, let them figure it out. But they already lying and saying that we are the ones that's causing it when that is not true. That is false information. Black people, I'm telling y'all better not go out there and do anything.
Don't do it. Don't
keep our hands clean. Because the moment that we try to even help in any type of way, it's going to fall back on us. So let this be a warning. Do not do anything. Don't go out there. Stay in the house. Go shopping. Do your thing. Have fun. Live your life. But it's they fight now. We not in it.
There's a brand new protest on the rise called No Sleep for ICE, and it's done at nighttime. So basically, people whose family members have been deported by ICE are now finding out where these ICE agents live, showing up outside their homes, hotels, apartments, wherever they live. and banging pots and pans, making as much noise as they possibly can so that the ICE agents can't get any sleep. Now they're not expecting the
instead of finding all these ICE agents and where they live, they should have been taking this time to find their documents. Okay, and they should have been finding themselves some lawyers and some immigration courts so that they wouldn't have to go through this. But now, here it is. Now you want to go harass these federal agents and these type folk. That's not going to go anywhere fast. I'm just going to let you know.
ICE agents won't be able to do their job the next day. They just want them to have a miserable time. So they show up at early hours of the morning, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., and start making as much noise as they possibly can. And behind the caption, "No sleep for ICE," they're saying, if we can't sleep, neither can you. And this is happening all over the place. The way people are finding out where these ICE agents live is activists are working really hard to try to identify these ICE agents and then dox them by posting flyers in neighborhoods where families have been deported. There's really no telling how long this No Sleep for ICE protest will last.
It's not going to work out. Y'all just like babies making noise at night. It's not going to work out. That's not effective. All that is just noise. People are still getting deported. And listen to this dude. This the Rodney. That was the Rodney. Not Rodney King. That was the 2020 riots. Okay, and what you saw was a Hispanic cholo, a gangster, right, throwing up his set called the Long Boys, and they when they hit their name up, they put NK. All right, NK stands for N-word killer, which denotes that they killed racially. And this brother right here, who's done some time in the California State Correctional Institution, is going to explain to you the anti-Black racism practiced not only by the Hispanic elite, but also by the people in the street, which shows you just how pervasive it is. You understand? Listen to the brother speak.
Hey, it's a hood called the Longos, the Long Boys in Long Beach. California. Strictly NK. NK all day. Longos. Matter of fact, there's a video online of the Longos riding around looking for black boys with Mexican girls, and they was talking about they gonna KIA them, like hit them right there. I'm just saying, look, I ain't got no problem with y'all doing what y'all do. It's just y'all doing it to us.
See, here's the thing. Black people are especially attuned to racism. Okay, our whole culture for the time period that we've been in this country has developed to sense out and sniff racism out. We see it, we know it, we can feel it. We might not be able to describe it, but we know it when we see it and we respond. So if you have a group of people who have played to be our friends, and then low key, they've actually been practicing anti-Black racism, and now they're in a situation where they're being attacked, how can you expect Black people to come out and help defend you, especially considering that the whole point of many of these Latinos for voting for Donald Trump was to do what? They thought it would get them some brownie points with white folks. They thought this would make them more, I guess they were trying to take the spot of the Asians and become the model minority. You know, your proximity to whiteness, if you will. You thought this was help you get you into that white room. You see what I'm saying? And so this is how it manifests. This is a sick aspect of your culture. And the fact that you would have the nerve to think that we would come out and put our black bodies out and protect you from your own doing is just ridiculous. And it shows just how stupid you think we are. But not today. Let's keep listening to the brother.
So it's like, but I feel you. Patrol your hood and keep your race pure. I'm with all of that. I respect that. And it don't make me mad, but you ain't going to do it to me and act like you my homie. You ain't going to do it to my people and act like we supposed to rock with y'all.
And I need you all to understand that Southern California is notoriously, the Latinos in Southern California are notoriously racist towards Black people, whether we're talking about in the penitentiary or whether we're talking about just out and about. Now, it used to didn't be like that when there were just a few of them coming up in the 1980s. They might have harbored some anti-Black sentiments, but it wasn't this pervasive until they got the numbers. And so now here we are. This is who they're showing. They're showing you who you are, who they are. Keep listening.
And then Y'all could have stood alone, but y'all made an alliance with the white supremacists.
All I want to know is everybody who be crying for blacks to help, let's do a history lesson. When we was getting sprayed with the water hoses and getting dogs sicked on us, and they had white-only water faucets and white-only restaurants and all that shit, where was everybody else? Because when I see these pictures, I don't see nobody.
Well, let me answer that question for the young brother. The reason that you don't see other people there is because they weren't here. In the 1950s up until 1965, the population of Hispanics in this country was less than 5%. I think it was actually 4%. The Asian percentage was 1%, and the African and Caribbean percentage was basically didn't exist. You know, so few of them, they just blended in with foundational Black Americans. They weren't here because they were removed from the country forcibly. They literally, in the late 19th century, they were forcibly removed. Millions of Mexicans were sent back to Mexico, even if they were American citizens, millions of them. Okay, and it happened again in the early 20th century. They call it Operation Wetback. And I'm going to speak on this. Look, we just getting started. You know how it is, baby. We just revving it up. We just revving up that old 86 Cadillac, baby. We getting it warm. It's a cold winter day in Detroit and Chicago. We checking the tires. We about to go on a trip today. Okay, you're going to learn a whole lot today. But what I need you to understand is this is not the first time this happened. The reason in the Black community at that time was only 9% of the population. The vast majority of the population in America was white, okay, to the tune of like 90% white. You understand me? That's why you didn't see them out there. We did this thing all by ourselves. We, as a tiny minority in a white country, damn near white ethno state, against all odds, 9% of us took on 91% of the population, and we won, which makes us an amazing and blessed people. God clearly loves foundational Black Americans. We are not even supposed to be here. We did that. You understand me? And nobody will ever be able to replicate that because we did it with style, we did it with class, we did it pizzazz, and we also did with our hands and our feet and our knees and our elbows when necessary. But you need to understand that. Y'all keep listening, man. That's where they were, young brother. They're not going to teach you that in history. They were not here, okay? They were not here. We were here by ourselves with them white folks, and we dealt with it. Keep listening.
I see us going to war with them. I don't see nobody else helping niggas. So where the fuck was everybody at back then?
Wasn't here,
when they had the big-ass water truck pull up and they pulled out that hose with 3,000 PSI water pressure and was spraying niggas halfway down the block. Where's everybody else? Show me one picture with niggas that was helping niggas.
And look, they could have came and helped the ones that were here, but they did not. They wasn't running into that. The people at LULAC, LULAC, I'm going to talk about that too. That was a famous, they said, we don't even want to associate with the Negro. We want to be white. Those people didn't decide they were going to be brown until after the fight was done. And we got the 1965 Civil Rights Act found. Then they said, we don't want to be white anymore. We'll try to be brown. Now we down with the brown. That's what happened. Very opportunistic. You understand? And of course, Africans, they wouldn't let a Black African come over here for nothing. They had their own Negroes here. Why would we invite more Black people over here? So there was no immigration coming from Africa. Okay. And then as far as the Asians, remember, they had the anti-Asian immigration bill. There's a whole Supreme Court case about that. We were here by ourselves. Let's keep listening.
And shout out to Mexico, because when we was escaping slavery, we went over there.
I think the total number of Blacks that escaped to Mexico was about a little over 1,000. We're not talking about tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands. We're talking about a little over 1,000, fam. And at the time, Mexico was Texas. You understand? The state we call Texas right now was a Mexican territory. So they would run from Louisiana to Mexico. That's what I need, which was Texas. So just keep that in mind, man. People are not telling you all that, okay? Keep listening.
They fought with niggas. Shout out to them. But y'all always bring that up. This is the new day and age. They wasn't calling us mayates. They wasn't saying fuck niggas.
And Mexico just ended slavery in the 1820s. And the second president who banned it, they end up killing him. He was half black, the second president of Mexico. You understand what I'm saying? And hell, the Mexican government just recognized the Mexican African descendants of slaves a few years back, I believe 2001 or 2002, 2021 or 2022. Keep that in mind. Okay, keep that in mind.
So it's a difference. We only talking about the ones who said fuck niggas, the ones right now. When you go to jail and y'all can't kick it, them, that's who we talking about. Just be mad at the truth because the truth hurts. This is why we never get progress, because we never sit down and have the ugly conversations. Nigga, the history of this country is ugly. It's offensive. People are scarred from the history of this shit. So unless you're gonna sit down and have the real, raw, uncut conversation, we're not getting progress. To sit here and pretend like everybody's one big coalition, no, it's a lie. Can we get to that point? Yes. But we're not gonna jump over the fact of this is what it is right now. This is what it is now. This is what it's been. We can get past it, but let's address it. Let's figure out why it was like this, and let's change it. And then we could be one big coalition. We're not finna pretend like what's going on and ain't been going on. When they was smoking Martin, Malcolm, Hampton, when they was locking all our leaders up, calling them political prisoners of war and all that shit, where was everybody else?
They weren't there, brother. They were in the house. They didn't come out the house till the fight was over. Keep that in mind.
I didn't see nobody trying to help niggas. I didn't see nobody helping niggas. As long as
and they wouldn't have if they were here. They were gonna stay in the house.
Man, don't fuck with them. They'll turn the other cheek. And when I say they, I'm talking about everybody. Everybody turn the other cheek when it's our fight. But then when they getting stomped on, guess what? Now all of a sudden, oh, where the niggas at, man? They be doing y'all bad too. Yeah, they do.
Yeah, and they do. We dealt with it.
And guess what? You sat by and watched and didn't give no fucks.
No, and not only did they sat by and watch, they literally said, we're white, if you're referring to Latinos. Now, I want you all to take the opportunity to make sure you hit the like button as we proceed. We are just getting warmed up, but we got a whole great, brilliant lecture set up, and I'm going to really break it down to you and explain to you why all this is happening, okay? The machine is getting rid of these unnecessary parts. Y'all keep that in mind. Let's keep listening. Jumping out. Look at that. They just snatching you. What are you doing? He's taking you home, baby. That's what he's doing.
What are you doing?
The feds pulling guns on people. They snatching folks. Literally snatching people off the street and throwing them in cars, man. Look at that, man. Ooh,
you feel good about this?
Look.
Talking to us. You guys feel good about this? About what? About everything happening in LA right now and just terrorizing communities? What's happening in LA?
Now this is this is a regular. Why is it that these people think that the police, the local police, are going to protect them from the federal agents? What is it? What makes you think that the police? Do you think the LAPD officer wants to catch a federal charge and end up in the federal penitentiary? Huh? You think he want to be in there braiding hair and washing dirty underwear and making pruno, huh? And sneaking weed in the prison in his booty hole? No, he don't want no. Hell no. He's not doing 10 years. They're gonna sit and watch. They are going to stand by. Somebody type "stand by" in the chat room.
You're what? What's happening in LA? People are getting taken from their homes, separated from their family, and treated like animals.
Are we talking about that? Yeah, it's terrible.
It's terrible. He said it's terrible. Feel bad. You heard what he said. It's terrible. Somebody type it's terrible.
Latino Family.
Talk to him. Now, see, this is who y'all should have been listening to. We have tried for decades to create what was supposed to be black and brown unity. I know personally that the Hebrew Israelites include the Mexican people as one of the lost tribes. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam have openly invited Mexican people into the Nation of Islam. You got members of the FOI who are members of the Nation of Islam. They are considered part of the lost tribe. So even our religious leaders and our political leaders have tried this, but it didn't work. Listen to what the Honorable Minister Lewis, this is probably about 20, 30 years ago.
Notice I said Latino family.
We tried.
Oh, wait a minute, Brother Faircam. How did they get in the family? See, most of the Mexicans are from the indigenous people of the planet. Listen, the indigenous people. You go into Mexico, you see.
I want to take an opportunity to give a big shout out to all the indigenous people of South America, Central America, and the Caribbean, the indigenous people, okay? Keep in mind the conquistadors, which are white people from the Iberian Peninsula, Spain and Portugal, invaded South America, Central America, and the Caribbean, and they basically raped and robbed and diseased and shot all of these people, and there still are some indigenous people there. When I talk about Latinos, I'm not referring to the indigenous brown-skinned people who you see when you go there. I'm talking about the ones that want to be white. I'm talking about these mestizos who practice anti-black racism, who also practice anti-indigenous racism. You understand what I'm saying? I'm talking to those are the ones that they are the ones. They are the white light. They are light white, L-I-T-E white. They're not quite white, but they light white. And those people practice oppressive techniques against the dark skin and the brown skin and the Afro-Mexicans and the Afro-Latinos and the indigenous. When I talk about Latinos, they know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about the racist ones. You understand? And now they coming up here and they getting a rude awakening because they dealing with real white people, not the fake white, not the light white. I'm talking, they dealing with real, they dealing with redneck white. You understand that? That's who they dealing with. And so I need you to keep that in mind. And the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is, I think, in my opinion, speaking to the indigenous aspect of that culture. But and to call all of them Latino is just a misnomer. They have the indigenous people. And then I'm happy to see the indigenous people of these countries are beginning to wake up and take their rightful place and hopefully shed off that I guess that white supremacist brainwashing that has them believing that they are white, and they will never be accepted. You just need to embrace yourselves. That's what you need to do. You need to love yourself and do for yourself. That's what you need to do. And I want black people too to understand something. These folks are about 125 years back from where we were. They're 125 years ago where we were. They hate themselves. They hate their hair. They hate their They hate their skin color. They're trying to be white. They want to be white. This is where they were. We were like that with the straightening combs and the conks and the bleachings and all these. We dealt with that too until we came up with Black pride and self-love and so on and so forth. So keep that in mind. But let's let the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
A real dark Mexican.
Mm-hmm.
And you go and you look at those big heads that are in Mexico, the old Mech that represent the old Mech civilization. Oh, much before Columbus, much before the Mayflower. These are the indigenous people of the Western Hemisphere. They are linked to the indigenous people of the earth. But the same Spaniard that conquered them started the same process. Put a little in and make a lighter shade, and then put the lighter Mexican against the darker Mexican. Talk to me. Talk to me. The real native Chicano or Mexican or La Raza is dark, and they are the downtrodden of Mexico.
Always.
It's all over the world. The same snake that bit us bit them. You're a Mexican. You speak Spanish, but you are not a Spaniard.
You are not.
Spaniards are Europeans. And some of them are very dark, but because the Moors
That's right.
conquered Spain for 1,000 years and mixed their blood with the Spaniards. So you might have a little of us there too. And look this. So you have the non-white Hispanics in America. All different shades, but they speak Spanish. That's your family. And you have black people speaking French. That's your family. Black people speaking Arabic. That's your family.
Yeah, and I don't typically let what language a person speaks divide me. Now, what divides me is the character of a person. If you're gonna be a straight up sellout, or you spitting that foolishness, then we may not see eye to eye, and I may separate. But for the most part, if we're dealing with black and brown people and the indigenous people of the world who are not permeated with that sickness, that self-hate, then we can have conversations. But in this particular time period, black men, black women have tried to unify with the brown people here in America, and they didn't want to unify. They specifically rejected us. They didn't want to be associated with our fight. And now here we are. They've isolated you, and you having the battle for your literal life. Let's keep listening.
So suppose we work on our condition. Our Mexican and Latino brothers and sisters work on their condition, then we form a strategic alliance.
I wish we could, brother. I wish we could. That sounds ideal. But some people
I don't think a lot of people understand what's going on in LA right now.
We understand.
I really don't. Again, I know you come here for sports, but LA.
We don't come here for sports, sir.
I mean, this is my turf.
This is your turf.
And
your turf. Okay.
ICE agents are driving through the city. Okay.
Yes,
in unmarked cars.
That's what they do.
With their faces covered.
Yes, that's what they're doing, sir.
Stopping brown people on work crews, doing agriculture work, etc.
They're all of them. They're getting them all, sir.
Stopping them, asking for identification,
and
oftentimes if they don't have an identification, cuffing them and taking them in based on the fact that they're brown. And if you missed this, a couple of days ago, they stopped a guy based on the fact that he was brown, cuffed him, slammed him against a fence. He's saying, I'm an American citizen. I'm an American citizen. The ICE agent, coward pussy, says, what hospital were you born in? The guy freezes because he's freaking being slammed against a fence. Can't come up with the answer. His friend comes out to defend him, not physically, to defend him. They grab that guy, slam him to the pavement. His head hits the pavement. Both these guys are American citizens, by the way. The one guy who slammed against a fence, American citizen number one, finds his ID. They take his ID, take his phone,
that's what they do.
Leave for 20 minutes, return his phone, never return his ID. He's an American citizen. They let him go. The other guy who came to the defense of his friend, also an American citizen, is in a holding cell in Los Angeles.
Everybody's getting hemmed up. This is what you get for trying to come to the aid. Keep listening.
And he's being accused of aggressively assaulting a police officer or an agent.
10 years.
And these agents aren't even identifying themselves. And furthermore, he didn't even assault him. So this is a shit that's going on in LA right now, all over.
Federal agents don't have to identify themselves, sir. That's some state level stuff. Shout out to Surrogate Keeper and TIQS. I will definitely read all the super chats. Let's keep
LA. Masked agents.
Now, I want you to understand this white fella is just giving a play-by-play. This is, oh my God, it's amazing. It's crazy. Okay, this is superficial.
Without identification, in unmarked vans, stopping and pulling over people who are brown, and just hoping that they're illegal, quote, or undocumented, whichever word you choose to use, and then hopefully deporting them. And if they're not undocumented, finding some excuse to detain them that they were being uncooperative.
They got a 3,000 a day quota. You understand me?
Or they were assaulting an agent when the agents aren't even identifying themselves. That is what is happening in LA right now. You need to know this. This is not, and if you're some MAGA guy and you're like, well, they need to get
some MAGA guy, somebody type some MAGA guy.
Document. These are not undocumented.
You know, that's your cousin and your daddy and your brother. They're all MAGA guys.
Documented people. Many of them are American citizens who just happen to be brown and speak Spanish.
Okay.
It's such fucking bullshit. And this is
watch your language, okay? Watch it. Go ahead. I understand.
This is coming to your city. This is coming to your city.
Mm-hmm. So you all get the point. Okay, we don't need to rehash that. I will air that whole broadcast there. I will put that out for everybody to see at some point, and you guys can check that out. Now look here. Man, let me try to first of all, let me get my cameras fixed. What's going on with my cameras? I'm trying to see if I can get the whole camera in here for you guys before we get this thing crackling too much for it. But yeah, so this is what's going on. It's a real problem out here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the opportunity to explain to you all what's really going on. Okay. And when I say what's really going on, let me first break something down because I think it's important. And again, shout out to everybody who's in here. If you learn something, I should earn something. But what I'm going to do at this point is go ahead and take the opportunity to really go ahead and go deep into this conversation so you can actually really walk away from this broadcast with some real understanding as to what's really going on. Okay. And I think it's important that we do that. I think it's important that that you all, understand some context. So let me go ahead and break this down for you. There have been, they've been calling Black people lazy ever since we stopped working for free. Right? And the reason they did that is because we were no longer of any use. Ever since we laid down the tools we were forced to use in the fields, this country has been trying to erase us. Because in America, your value is directly tied to your usefulness to the system. Okay? And once you're no longer needed, you're disposable. You understand what I'm saying? Some of you folks already know where we're going with this because I kind of hinted at it last night. So the harsh truth is that's how America works. After slavery, we didn't get reparations. We got criminalization. They created vagrancy laws and black codes. They needed a new form of unpaid labor. So they came up with something called the convict leasing laws or institution. And the 13th Amendment didn't abolish slavery. It just moved it into the prison system. So this was already planned, okay? And as long as you could be labeled a criminal, they could still exploit your labor. So let's fast forward to the post-Jim Crow era. All right, America's industrialized. We got industrialization. We got machines. We're replacing workers in the fields and factories. And the civil rights movement forced some change. But the system adapted again, and they call it to what we have now, mass incarceration. When they didn't need your hands, okay, they used your body. They housed it. Black men became raw material for a booming prison industry economy, an economy that to this day turns out billions for corporations and states. But now here we are in 2025, and another shift is happening, and this time it's bigger. See, we've entered into an age of automation, AI, robots, drones, and machine learning, and technology is replacing human labor faster than ever. And so the people who once harvested crops, built homes, stocked warehouses, and cleaned offices, all of them are being replaced. See, it's not just Black Americans, not just poor whites, but also the undocumented labor force America has relied on for decades. And now that those people are no longer needed, just like we were back in the day, now the government is finding ways to get rid of them. That's the cold, hard truth. See, for decades, corporations and politicians, they turned a blind eye to undocumented immigrants because they did the dirty work and they did it for cheap. Okay? It's been illegal to enter this country without your papers, but they ignored that, right? And they were good enough. They were good enough to work for us, but they were never good enough to be fully accepted. But now that AI can handle logistics, customer service, agriculture, transportation, and even fast food, we don't need their labor anymore. So what do? We militarize the border. We roll out mass deportation. And now they're even reinterpreting the 14th Amendment, the very amendment that guaranteed citizenship to the children of formerly enslaved Black people. The same amendment that granted us constitutional recognition is now being reinterpreted to block anchored babies, the children of undocumented immigrants born in the U.S. soil. This is not a coincidence, family. This is a legal and demographic purge. And once again, America is done using a group for its labor, and it moves to discard them, just like it tried to discard us. Look, America's a machine, okay? And part of the machine is a legal machine. And it's been working for decades to reinterpret birthright citizenship. And now, with a supermajority, shout out to my man Leon Henke King, Henny King, but they have a supermajority, six Supreme Court justices. And we have a lot of nationalist sentiment sweeping across both political parties. And we're watching the door to America slam shut, not because of racism alone, but because the economy no longer needs these bodies. Labor is no longer scarce. Labor is no longer powerful because labor is no longer human. AI doesn't strike. Robots don't unionize, and drones don't ask for rights. That's exactly why we are seeing them replaced. You remember when those Amazon workers went on strike and Elon Musk didn't hire them back and they replaced them with the machines? We don't need them anymore. Shout out to my man, It's Your Guy. So ask yourself, when the system no longer needs cheap, replaceable workers, who's next? Huh? Who's next? Look, I can tell you the foundation of Black Americans, we were the test case for this model of economic exploitation followed by removal. And that's what we're witnessing right now. This is phase 2 of it. First, it was the plantation, then it was the penitentiary, then the border, and now it's the cloud. America's labor system has evolved, but the playbook hasn't changed. Use them, drain them, discard them. And that's the cold, hard truth. See, the moment you start to cost more than you produce, we write laws to push you out. Or we bury you, or we put you in a prison cell. This is the reality. And if you don't understand the intersection of race, labor, law, and automation, you're going to be blindsided by what's coming next. Stay with me. Because I'm going to break this down. I'm going to break this down real tough for everybody. Everybody's going to walk away with great understanding. Now, the first thing is, let's go ahead and set the record straight, because I think it's important. We got a lot of people saying that this country of ours was founded by immigrants. That's not true. This country was not founded by immigrants. Okay? And I'm going to get uptight because I want y'all to get in tight with me. Let me see if I can get this camera together. I want to make sure you can see clearly what I'm saying when I'm saying what I'm saying. Hold on a minute. This country was not founded by immigrants. And I don't care how many people scream and holler and tell you it was, it's just not true. Okay, it's not founded by immigrants. Okay, it was founded by settlers. This country was founded by settlers, European colonists who came here not to join an existing society, because in order to be an immigrant, there has to be a society already. European colonists came here to conquer and colonize and claim the land through violence, war, and dispossession. They did not assimilate, they exterminated. What they established was not inclusion, but occupation. And see, and let's be clear, this country was not built by waves of voluntary newcomers chasing dreams. It was built by imports. And when I say imports specifically, I'm talking about African people who were kidnapped, who were sold, who were kidnapped, who were shackled, who were stripped of their language, their names, and their culture, and brought here as slaves. So from the very foundation of this nation, the wealth and infrastructure and early economy of the United States was constructed through forced labor of African men, women, and children who were not immigrants themselves, but human property. The first European colonists were settlers, not immigrants. Immigrants come to join society. Settlers come to replace them. From 1607 in Jamestown to 1776 in the Revolution, English, Dutch, and Spanish and French colonialists established colonies by removing and exterminating Native Americans. The people who came here across the Siberian Peninsula 10 to 15,000 years ago. That wasn't immigration. That was settler colonialism. As early as 1619, Africans were forcibly brought to what became Virginia, not seeking opportunity, but enchained in hulls and sold on auction blocks and made to build what settlers had claimed. Now, there were already black people here. We talked about that last night. Check that broadcast out. But I'm talking about the Africans who were brought here in chains. But see, by the time the American Revolution occurred, enslaved Africans were already the economic engine of the South, fueling tobacco, cotton, sugar, and rice plantations. We were unpaid labor. We created a surplus of wealth that funded the colonies and later the republic. Look at the timeline. By the time the major waves of European immigrants arrived in the mid to late 19th century, and I'm talking about the Irish, the Italians, the Eastern Europeans, and the Germans, the United States had already fought and won its independence in 1776 to 1783, ratified the U.S. Constitution in 1789, built the White House, the Capitol, and the foundational federal buildings. Such much of it was done through slave labor. We expanded westward via the Louisiana Purchase in 1803. We created functioning agriculture and trade economy run by slavery, by the way, black people. And we had a growing university system, the colleges like Harvard, which was established in 1636, Yale, which came about in 1701, and I believe Princeton was in 1746. We had complicated railroad systems, canals, and roads. This is the early infrastructure built by enslaved African people, okay, who were here. We fought the wars of 1812 and laid the groundwork for the Civil War. So by the time Ellis Island opened in 1892, this country wasn't being built. It was already standing. You understand? Even the industrialization, a process often falsely credited to immigrants, was built on the backs of black labor. The cotton economy made the U.S. the world's top textile exporter, and that cotton was picked by black slaves, not immigrants. The textile mills in the North were powered by the raw materials grown by enslaved black people in the South, in the Mid-Atlantic. The Mississippi River, the New Orleans port, and the plantation system created the infrastructure that made America globally competitive by the mid-1800s. Wall Street, Wall Street itself was a slave auction site. Slavery built the American finance. When the immigrants arrived in mass after the Civil War in 1865 and onward, they arrived in a country with a constitution, a Bill of Rights, established courts, schools, post offices, a functioning military, a tax system, cities, farmland, railroads, and banks, universities, and the educational system. They didn't build a foundation. They benefited from it. They were able to open their businesses and claim land and build unions and rise socially and economically, often by stepping into the systems that foundational Black Americans were excluded from because of Jim Crow and redlining and segregation. Foundational Black Americans built this country under duress, and we paid for it in blood. Late Native Americans lost it through genocide. It was FBA who maintained it through Reconstruction, Jim Crow, and the Civil Rights era. So when people say immigrants built this country, they are insulting you because they are erasing the fact that foundational Black Americans were here before America was America. And that country's very existence, its land, the labor force, the original wealth was carved out by conquest and slavery, not no doggone immigration. Set the record straight. Immigrants didn't build this country. They arrived after it was built, after the hard part was done, after the blood had been spilled, after the infrastructure had been laid. This nation was founded by settlers and built by slaves, maintained by Black Americans, and only later populated by immigrants who benefited from that foundation. And to rewrite that history is not just incorrect, it's an erasure of our suffering and our contributions and our sacrifice. Let's stop repeating this lie, family. America was not built by immigrants. It was built by settlers, and it was built on the backs of foundational Black Americans by force. Now, let's talk about entitlement. The entitlement that kind that radiates from certain groups of immigrants who arrive in the United States and without understanding our history or our hierarchy, start acting like this country owes them something. And it does. I don't think anybody, whatever your political affiliation is, whatever your color, your ethnicity is, we're tired of that. Because that entitlement is unwarranted. Because contrary to popular myth, you did not build this country, you inherited access to it. Let's be clear, you did not fight for this land. You didn't build its original wealth. You didn't suffer 400 years of forced labor, racial terrorism, and redlining of Jim Crow. You didn't bleed for the Constitution. Yet many immigrants walk in and expect instant parity with people whose ancestors were dragged here in chains and others who was here before the Mayflower and who built this country brick by brick and never received justice or reparations. That sense of entitlement to me, right, to land, to resources, jobs, political power, and sympathy is not just historically inaccurate, it's strategically foolish because you're missing one critical truth. America has no problem expelling people it no longer needs. And that's what these Latinos and other folk are finding out. This country has always had a transactional relationship with non-white labor. Once your labor is no longer necessary, you're out. Now, what we're going to do at this point is we're going to look at some historical records. Get your pens and paper out. I'm going to start off by talking about the Mexican mass deportations in the 1930s and 1950s. You're going to learn something today. So what was going on? Well, when the Great Depression hit in the 1930s and white folks couldn't get jobs, their jobs dried up, the government forcibly deported 1 million Mexicans, and that was over 60% of them. 60% of them were U.S. citizens. They didn't, no due process, no hearings, no distinction between legal or illegal status. They were rounded up. They were taken to train stations and public parks and welfare offices, and they were dumped across the border. Again, in 1954, during Operation Wetback, the U.S. deported another 1 million Mexicans in brutal sweeps. People died from heat stroke in the desert. Entire families were split. American-born children were left behind. Why? Because the machines were replacing the agricultural labor, and the need for cheap Mexican workers was shrinking. America used them and then removed them when they didn't need them anymore. Do you all know they had a plan to remove black folk after slavery was over? They planned to send us to Liberia and Brazil. Are you all familiar? Liberia is in Africa. Did you all know that? Let's go a little deeper. See, America didn't just expel immigrants. They tried to deport the very people who built this country, the foundational Black Americans. In the 1800s, political elites, including Abraham Lincoln, openly supported the colonization, which was the idea of shipping formerly enslaved Black people to Liberia or Brazil. Because even after centuries of unpaid labor, the system wanted to get rid of us. We were no longer in use anymore. And the American Colonialization Society, funded by elites and presidents, was founded for this very purpose. And here's the thing, over 13,000 Black Americans were shipped off to Liberia. Many were sent against their will. Brazil was considered because they still practiced slavery all the way up into the 1880s. And they would say, yes, send them down here. We need some more Blacks. I want you to let that sink in. But the other thing is the very people whose blood and bone and sweat that built this country and this infrastructure and economy and the legal framework, at the moment our labor was unneeded, we were treated as though we were expendable. And that's what you have to understand. Once your labor is no longer essential, you're subject to be deported. So ask yourself, if they try to remove us, right, who are the blueprint of America, what do you think they'll do to immigrants, especially illegal immigrants with no foundational claim, no sacrifice, and no blood in the soil? Think about that. Now, when immigrants started demanding open borders and free benefits and political representation and protection without acknowledging the hierarchy of contribution, they walked into a trap. They walked into a trap. You understand that? We cannot be deported. Why? Because we're not immigrants. I told you before we were imports, and it's a no return policy. It's a no return policy. Somebody said they can't hear the sound. Hold on a minute. Let me see. Can you hear the sound now? Okay, yeah. Somebody said FBAs are imports, and there's a no return policy. Africa don't want us. They'll let you know if you ask them. They are not white. No. No, you cannot come here. Okay? We're the descendants of enslaved, the builders. And look, again, and I want to keep running this back to you all. We are not, all of our ancestors were not slaves. All of our African ancestors were not slaves. We were here before 1619 when the first slaves from Africa came. We were here before that. Somebody's saying, am I muted or not? Can you guys hear me? Somebody keeps saying, am I muted or not? Y'all need to make up y'all mind. Okay? You need to make up your mind. Am I muted or not? Somebody say they can't hear. Lord have mercy. Microphone check. Microphone. Y'all, some of you all are saying you can hear. Some of you saying you can't hear. Y'all need to make up y'all mind. That's what you need to do. Okay? They say I'm good now. All right. That's good. Well, let's get back to it. Okay, let's get on back to it. All right. Again, we were born here. We didn't arrive here. Okay, we didn't flee from danger. Okay, we were. It's something we had to face. All right, we didn't come to the banquet. Right, we cooked the damn meal. That's us. That's why our place is non-negotiable. And that's why we don't have to beg, okay? We demand. And the crazy part is our roots as foundational Black Americans are older than most of the white people you see. And they know it and we know it. So the next time one of these immigrants tells you that we built this country, you correct them. And the next time they tell you that Black Americans are next, you correct them. You understand? And they need to understand that America doesn't owe you anything just because you showed up. In fact, you showed up late. And they need to understand that when their usefulness expires, so will their welcome. And America has shown that over and over again. Look, America has a long, well-documented history of rapidly discarding labor when it's no longer profitable or convenient. The shift is swift. It's surgical and often legal. After the Civil War, you see what happened to Black folk. Shout out to Yaya kids. The Civil War ended in 1865. But by 1866, the Southerners had already enacted Black codes and criminalized Black freedom and established the convict leasing system. That's what they did. They industrialized and mechanized. And during the industrial age, they replaced Black tenant farmers in the South, and millions went north to northern cities because the work dried up, only to be locked out of these white unions and shut out of these skilled labor. Many of you all remember this. When automation hit factories in the 1970s and 80s, Black industrial working class, they were replaced in Detroit, Gary, Indiana, East St. Louis. A lot of Black men were left jobless almost overnight. And then mass incarceration spiked. And shortly after that, America doesn't offer retirement plans to labor. It doesn't need it. It offers cages, deportation, buses, or border walls. Today, the new threat is AI. AI is the new cotton gin, the new combine, the new industrial robot, and it's making human labor obsolete at a pace that's faster than the transition before. The result is a sudden coordinated political movement to remove people who were once tolerated because they were cheap and useful. And once your economic utility drops below the cost of managing you, America moves quickly to dispose of you physically, socially, legally, and digitally. America has always operated under this ruthless formula. And when it comes to labor, use, exploit, discard. And this is especially true when that labor is Black or brown or yellow, or at least non-white. You understand? I already explained to you what happened when the sharecroppers became useless. You see what they did to us? Now let's talk about the Chinese and the other Asians in the 1800s. They were brought over here in large numbers to build a transcontinental railroad. Okay, they blasted through the mountains. They laid track across desert. They worked under deadly conditions for pennies, literally. But the minute the job was done, when the last spike was hammered into the ground, America said, thanks, now get out. They actually passed a law called the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882. And it became the first federal law to ban an entire ethnic group from migrating to the US. It wasn't even repealed till 1943 during World War II. And even then, only symbolically. See, they were good enough, the Chinese were good enough to build America's infrastructure, but not good enough to live amongst quote unquote real Americans. There's the case of the Mexican labor. And we talked about that briefly, right? These same Latinos, they're a growing force today. But up until 1965, they were a small minority in the US. Why? Because America didn't just exploit their labor, it forcibly removed them once the labor was no longer needed. There are two major mass deportation campaigns that swept through the country like ethnic purges related to the Mexicans, okay? The first one happened in the 1930s. The first one happened in the 1930s. I explained it during the Great Depression. 60% of the Mexicans that were rounded up, and it was 1 million of them, 60% of the Mexicans that were deported were US citizens born and raised in the United States. No lawyers, no hearings. Families just ripped apart, dropped across the border like trash. The second time, 1954, many of you are alive. Somebody type Operation Wetback in the chat room. The US government deported over another 1 million more Mexicans in a campaign that was so violent. It was so violent, many folk died of heat stroke and starvation in the desert. This is how they did the Mexican people. This is 1954. There are people who are still alive who can remember that. And again, to the American citizens, it didn't matter. Now, of course, you're always going to have people out there performing, oh my God, this is a violation of due process. It didn't matter. The work was drying up and the system was cleaning house. And when labor is needed, America throws open its gates. But when the work dries up, they roll out the buses, they bulldoze the welcome mat, and you're out of here. So let's be clear. This country has always treated labor like fuel. It's been meant to burn, not preserve. From the enslaved Africans to exploited Chinese to the deported Mexicans. We invite them in, and when their profit is made, we exploit, when there's money to be made, and then we exploit them without mercy, and then we expel them the moment they're no longer useful. And now, here we are in 2025, the new labor class is no longer human. It is AI, it is robots, it is algorithms, it's machines, no lunch breaks, no unions, no lawsuits. So guess what? The system is once again going into removal mode. Only this time it's targeted at everyone: immigrants, refugees, low-income workers, anyone who can be replaced by software or hardware. And if you don't understand that, you're just the next iteration in a long line of disposable labor. If you don't get that, you haven't been paying attention. This is the brutal rhythm of the American economy. Ask the black man. Ask the black man who lost his land in the South. Ask the Chinese worker driven back across the Pacific. Ask the Mexican mother deported with an American birth certificate in her purse. This is how America works. Not with gratitude, not with loyalty, but with cold profit-driven amnesia. And once you've served your purpose, we don't thank you. We erase you. You understand that? And we changed the laws. We freed the slaves and enacted the 13th Amendment. Think about that. The 13th Amendment said we can put them in jail if they're criminals. And then they come up with a whole bunch of laws. We still needed the labor, right? And I say we, because I'm an American too. This is our bloody, ugly history. Accept it. When cotton picking machines and tractors were introduced in the early 20th century, Southern landowners quietly stopped needing black sharecroppers who they needed for generations, because for generations, black families were trapped in this exploitative system. They were bound to the land by debts they could never repay. So basically what would happen, and my grandmother and my uncle would explain to me how this worked. Basically what happened was you would pick cotton, and as you needed supplies, you would go down to the company store, which was owned by the landowner who owned the fields and the crops, and you would borrow against your crop. You were already getting a small percentage, okay? They let you had to pay for your residence. Your family usually lived on a plantation. You had to pay for that. You had to pay for your supplies. So they needed big families. 8, 9, 10 kids meant more money. But what ended up happening is at the end of the year, you might not make enough money to you might have borrowed more against your crop. So now you're in debt. So you legally stuck. And that went on for years until they didn't need us anymore. And then once that happened, we moved north. There was a need for labor in the north because we needed people to come operate the plants for World War I and World War II. All the white men had been sent overseas. So there was a need for labor. Now, what happened after the wars were over? We were locked out of the unions. And once again, we had to suffer. When the labor is no needed, you're out of here. Now, the civil rights movement should have opened the door to black prosperity. We won the legal battles, Brown v. Board, the Civil Rights Act 1964, Voting Rights Act 1965. But as always, when black people made political gains, the system shifted the terrain. By the 1970s and 80s, with manufacturing jobs drying up and no real economic safety net for urban black communities, what'd you have to deal with? Poverty and unemployment. It surged. You end up with blighted communities. And basically, we were pushed into survival economies. That's when the incarceration started, the so-called Nixon's war on drugs. It escalated under Reagan, but it started with Nixon, and it culminated with Bill Clinton's 1994 crime bill. Republican, Democrat, they all get it. What was the point? The federal government constructed an entire industry or economy around criminal justice to get rid of the excess black labor. They couldn't deport us, so what did they do? They put us in jail. Just like they can't deport all these illegal immigrants, so they housing them in places like Alligator Alcatraz. It's not an accident. This is all a logical continuation of the exploitative cycle. Once you're no longer economically useful, you become a target, and instead of investing in job creation, America builds prisons, or America invests in deportation flights. So now, by the year 2000, prisons have effectively replaced factories in many towns. Plenty of little towns around the country. They got rural economies based on the prison system, locking up poor people, locking up bodies. Heck, the correctional industry is a new plantation. The inmates are the new crops. America didn't respond to our freedom with justice. It responded with containment and surveillance and caging. From the Great Migration to the war on drugs, the pattern remains consistent. When this nation no longer needs your labor, it builds institutions to get rid of you. So let's stop pretending. Are y'all still with me? Y'all with me? I'm going to say something to hurt your feelings. I'm going to say something that's going to hurt your feelings. These undocumented immigrants were never welcome. You were used. This country didn't throw open its back door because it suddenly discovered compassion. It opened that door because there was work that white Americans didn't want to do. America brought you in not to thrive, but to serve, to clean their homes, to raise their children, to pick their produce, to build their homes and manicure their lawns. It was all under the table. No benefits, no protections, no social security, no pathway to citizenship, no real rights. Just enough tolerance to keep the labor flowing and the profits high. And the most insulting part, even the so-called liberal allies, the ones who claim to fight for immigrant justice, expose their true motives the moment deportation becomes a national issue. What did they say? What's the first thing they said? But who's going to pick our avocados? Who's going to wash our dishes? Who's going to clean our houses, mow our lawns, and watch our bad children? That's what they said, remember? Think about that. They don't talk about the trauma of family separation. They don't mention the children left behind or the women deported after decades of honest hard work. No, their primary concern is that they're about to lose their cheap, obedient labor. The people who sat in the front of the microphones crying crocodile tears for the undocumented illegal immigrants are often the same people panicking over the price of organic lettuce or whether their nanny will show up next week or their lawn guy will be there to cut their grass. That's how little they think about these immigrants. That's how transparent this so-called solidarity is. This isn't about human rights. It's about economic dependency. Once technology, AI, robotics, and automation became compatible or capable of performing the same task more efficiently, the equation changed. All of a sudden, the illegal immigrants, the undocumented workers, they weren't essential workers anymore. They became disposable liabilities. And that's when the raids came. The detentions, the deportation buses. You went from being heroes of the pandemic to illegal aliens overnight. Not because you did anything differently, but because your labor was no longer essential. That's the game. And the rules have always been clear. You're welcome only when your sweat can be harvested quietly. You're ignored when you cry out for fairness, and you're discarded the moment the machine can replace your hands. And the so-called immigrant allies, they were never your friends. They were your customers. Customers. Beneficiaries of your suffering. What they miss is not your presence, they miss your cheap labor. And that tells you everything you need to know about how this system sees you. You were never part of the family, you were never part of the workforce, and now the workforce doesn't need you. They don't need you to drive their cars, they don't need taxi drivers. They got Elon Musk. They got cars driven by robots and AIs and algorithms. We don't need you anymore. So let's stop pretending this immigration crackdown is just about politics or the border. The real reason behind this aggressive shift isn't red, it isn't blue, it isn't Democratic, it isn't Republican, it isn't silicon, it's not flesh. It's about the quiet, relentless march of technology and how it's displacing labor at a speed this country isn't ready to admit. This isn't science fiction. This isn't now. Okay? It's the real reason the United States no longer needs all these immigrants or working class people in general. Start Start with what you can see every day. Self-checkouts. They're eliminating cashiers in grocery stores and retail chains and pharmacies. What about these automatic kiosks at the fast food restaurants like McDonald's and Wendy's? They're taking orders and payments without a human in sight. You got chat box and AI systems. They can now handle the entire customer service departments of 24/7. No sick days, no HR complaints, no wage negotiations. But it doesn't stop there. Amazon has these sprawling warehouses all across America with robots just picking systems and autonomous sorting lines. It used to require hundreds of people with human hands. Not anymore. Tesla and the other car manufacturers use robotic arms on assembly lines. They build in vehicles from the ground up. Now we even have drones that are being tested to deliver groceries and packages and even medicine. You see, cutting out the delivery drivers, the warehouse runners. You got the algorithms writing legal contracts and legal briefs, reviewing insurance claims, and even making hiring decisions. So they're basically eliminating not just blue collar jobs, but white collar jobs too. That's the most dangerous part. You see? Especially considering that the government is subsidizing this shit through tax breaks, depreciation credits. Okay? Corporations are being rewarded for replacing people with machines. Family, it's cheaper to buy a robot that works around the clock than to employ a human who needs rest and rights and respect. A robot won't unionize. A bot won't call OSHA, and an algorithm won't demand maternity leave or health care. Labor costs vanish, and so do the workers. The entire job categories are collapsing, not gradually, but overnight. Truck drivers. I saw a special, the truck drivers saying these self-driving rigs are already on the road. Right here in Houston, Texas, up 59. They got them right now. Housekeepers. I was at my jiu-jitsu school the other day, and they got a little machine on the ground that cleans up the floor. A little robot vacuum. And I'm like, wow, it won't even hit your foot or anything. Bank tellers. They replaced by apps and kiosks. Call centers outsourced to AI voices, programs with perfect emotionless diction. And so when these jobs disappear, so do the economic justifications for immigrants. It's already going to be hard enough for low-wage workers who are American citizens. You got whole communities that once existed just to meet the industrial and service sector needs. The question shifts from how do we support these people to why are they still here? And see, that's what triggers the politics of removal. Not because of security, not because of nationalism, because of economic need is gone. It's always about the money. Somebody type, show me the money in the chat room. Follow the money. And once the work is automated, the worker is a liability. And in a capitalist system, if you're not an asset, you become a problem to be solved. That's why I started off with telling you guys this is a machine. Can you guys hear me? Somebody type machine in the chat room. This is a machine. America is a machine. If you want to live a happy life as an elder, stack your money up, make your money start working for you, find yourself a nice, cozy, family-friendly country to go retire in. But America ain't it. We even make money on old people. We make use out of everything. So what you're witnessing right now with the militarization of the border, the mass deportation, the aggressive, literally people, look, I'm a lawyer and we can cut this whichever way you want to. But what we see happening right now is clearly a lack of due process. Now, I might argue differently in court because there are legal arguments to be made, but no time in history have we just had people other than when the slave catchers would come north, right? and go catch. No time in history do we have federal agents jumping out of cars, snatching people, throwing them in cars. No time. At no time, based on the color of their skin. You see now a collapsing social contract. It's not some spontaneous political mood swing. This has been happening. Obama was the deporter in chief. He knew. Joe Biden was right behind him. Trump is just doing it in a nasty way, but he's doing it nonetheless. This is a calculated labor purge. AI is a new plantation foreman. And unlike the old one, it doesn't drink, it doesn't sleep, it doesn't get tired, it just works, and it's never late. And now it's making millions of human workers, immigrants, and citizens alike obsolete. This is the hidden engine driving the modern day immigration policy. Economic inequality, political destabilization. It's not fear of immigrant, it's not fear of the immigrant, it's the irrelevance of that worker and that labor. And if you don't understand that, you won't understand what's coming next. Now, I'm enjoying myself, okay? And I'm doing the best I can to articulate this so that everybody can understand. Do you all understand what's happening? Do you understand what's going on? And see, now I'm about to drive it home. Now, keep in mind, if you're learning something, I should earn something. I know y'all learned something. I know you have. I do know you've been learning something, okay? I do know you have, but I'm gonna keep trying. Now, the thing I must require is that we have thousands some odd people in here. I need y'all to make sure you have subscribed to the channel if you have not already. I got my white rose on. I'm feeling good. I'm looking good. Shout out to, who's my baby girl at? I seen her up in here for a minute. It's Penny. Shout out to Penny. Thank you so much, sweetheart. And big shout out to, who is this that just contributed to the super chat? Shout out to Blue Baggins. Thank you so much. And of course, y'all kids. Are y'all with me? Are you with me? If you're with me, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We still cooking. Are you learning something? Y'all didn't know about this. You thought, oh, they just don't like the Mexicans. No, that ain't it. No, that's not it. Because see, what you have to understand, and in my books, Rules to Live By, How to Maintain Peace of Mind and Happiness in the Conflicted World, I explain the concept called the King's Eye View. And it's easy for me to understand. Shout out to Penny Ford. What's up, baby girl? It's easy for me to see the perspective of a king because I've sat in a ownership and business position. And so, yeah, I'm not on the level of a Donald Trump or the leaders of the world, but I've been running my business for a long time. And it's a lot of skills that you learn from being a businessman. And that's why my perspective is so different from so many of you all. And that's why many of you all disagree with me. You find it distasteful. You know, you think I'm cold-blooded and cold-hearted. But the truth is, that's business. And this is America, and it's about business. We have an agreement called the Constitution. Our most sacred document is not a holy book. It's a constitution. If you look up the word constitution, it simply means contract. It's a contract between the states saying, hey, we're going to do business. Cold, hard, calculated business. And the business at hand right now is getting rid of this excess labor. And this is why immigrants must go. Somebody type immigrants must go in the chat room. Shout out Dusty Jones. Immigrants must go. And by the time I finish with this part of the conversation, you all are going to have, shout out to Dusty Jones, you all are going to have a much better understanding of why it is in your interest to make sure these immigrants must go. I know you don't, I know. I can't believe he said that. He's separating families. I know, gotta go, I know. And I don't care if you hate me for it. I tell my children the same thing. I don't care if you hate me for what I say to you, but you will learn. Whether you like it or not, whether you hate me or not, you will learn. And you will look back on this day and say, damn, I'm better off. even though those people had to suffer, better them than me. Damn, that's not in the Bible, is it? No. See, what happens when the floodgates don't close? If we don't reduce the influx or presence of non-working, economically dependent populations, and if we continue to allow them to grow through unchecked birth rates, we are walking directly into a series of predictable social, economic, and political crises. This isn't guesswork, it's historical fact. Now let's walk through the consequences based on both past events and current conditions. See, when more people are taking than contributing to the system, it breaks. In the nations of Greece and Venezuela, you got large dependent populations, especially those dependent on government subsidies and public benefits, combined with limited economic growth. That led to a sovereign debt crisis. The government programs were overwhelmed, pensions collapsed, hospitals ran out of supplies, basic public services stopped functioning, no police, no firemen, no water, no electricity. Why? It's too many people needing help and not enough people paying taxes and generating revenue. In the United States, programs like Social Security and Medicaid and public education, they're already strained. And now you got millions of people who coming from other countries, millions of families, and we just gonna put it on them. They pay little or no income. Shout out to Yashua Ben Joseph. They work under the table or not at all, and they still depend on our hospitals where they can go get free emergency service for a cold. Their children go to our schools 8, 9, 10 deep. Law enforcement has to respond to their calls. They take up housing and food. And so what happens? You get balloon deficits, you get higher taxes, inflation, and then you get deep cuts to services for citizens that we've already paid for, especially working class Black Americans. Now listen now. What happens when people have no legal means to survive? What do? They find illegal means to survive. In Germany in the 1920s, and in the post-Soviet Union after it collapsed in the 1990s, you had mass unemployment, and it led to a surge of organized crime, corruption, and street violence. You had young people running around with no jobs, no hope. They turned to gangs, they turned to drugs, they turned to violence. And in the US, we saw the same thing in the 1970s and through the 1990s when the inner cities were deindustrialized, when the jobs left. When you had the collapse of factory jobs, massive Black unemployment, what showed up? Gangs and crack epidemic and gang warfare and mass incarceration. Now imagine that not just among Black folks, but now you got millions of undocumented immigrants with their US born children who have even few opportunities. Crime is no longer going to be isolated in a situation like that. It's going to be widespread and normalized. And history shows that when Native populations feel displaced, when we feel overrun, when we feel ignored, guess what? We fight back. This happened in Yugoslavia in the 1990s. You had diverse ethnic groups that typically coexisted. They were cool for decades. They just exploded in civil war. Once the resources dried up, they hit some economic hardship, it made tolerance unsustainable. In France today, years of unassimilated immigrant populations from North Africa have created literal no-go zones in France. They have riots on a regular basis. They have a permanent underclass. And now, right, they're even challenging what is French and what is not. They're taking over. Do you want America to look like Venezuela? Ask yourself that. Do you want America to look like Sudan? In South Africa, they had unchecked immigration from neighboring countries, and that led to anti-immigrant programs. Even other black Africans were violently attacked by the native South Africans for taking their jobs and draining resources. If the U.S. continues to allow massive immigration without labor, without the labor demand, the resentment is going to boil over. Especially if Americans, native-born Americans, those who have been here for generations, especially amongst black Americans. Shout out to Project Game Plan Entertainment and white Americans. Shout out to Shawshana. What's going to happen to us is we're going to continue to be pushed to the economic margins. You see? Let me explain something to you. A nation can survive economic pain. It can survive civil unrest, but it cannot survive when it no longer knows what it is. And we are looking at the collapse of the national identity and civic unity. Look, family, Rome fell not just because of the barbarians that were at the gate, but because it began to import too many foreigners, granted them citizenship without their loyalty, and eventually had armies made up of people who no longer believed in Rome. In the modern United States, if birthright citizenship continues to be handed out indiscriminately to anybody who comes over here and pushes out a baby, if loyalty, assimilation, and national cohesion are no longer prerequisites, then the very definition of American becomes meaningless. You end up with parallel societies divided by language, culture, allegiance, and values. What follows is balkanization. And that is a fragmented, unstable, and easily manipulated society. And once that happens, the dominant society, it doesn't collapse, okay? It crumbles. It crumbles from within. Shout out to Yahshua ben Joseph. So if we don't address this now, if we don't stop importing poverty and subsidizing dependence and rewarding lawlessness, then we will lose our ability to fund our public schools and our police and our firemen. We will sit by and we will watch crime and civil unrest rise. Whose neighborhood are they coming to? We're going to see racial tension and ethnic tensions explode. You see what's happening to black people in Los Angeles? In the 1970s, when I was a little boy, we had over 1 million black people in LA. Now it's under 400,000. The Mexicans done ran all the black people out of LA. If we don't stop this unchecked immigration, ultimately the American identity will dissolve in chaos. And as the brother Malcolm said, if the white man has a cold, the black man has a pneumonia. So what is that going to do to us who are already a minority? These other people can go home. We don't have a home to go to. Don't ignore this lesson from history. A society cannot survive when it's overrun with people who have no work, no resources, no national loyalty, and no future. We are not obligated to become the refugee camp for the world, family. We are obligated to preserve our nation, protect its resources, and ensure our children are not someone else's. We're not responsible for them. You understand me? And I understand. It's cruel. Look at what these people, look what's happening to these people. It's cruel. Look at what's going on.
And this time it was outside of the Department of Immigration.
Look at
yes. I understand the
snatching them up out of there.
I'm actually genuinely
how busy.
We had the agreement.
Look, snatching them out. Cool. Somebody type cool in the chat room. Look at it. Look at it. Look at it. Snatching them right out of there. Look at this.
Hey, yes, you did. What are you guys doing? Do you guys have a warrant?
ran in here. He's our dishwasher.
He's under arrest.
It wasn't working.
They don't need a warrant.
I got his leg. I know it's cool.
No pelees, no pelees.
No pelees, o te ayudan, ¿ok? Te van a ayudar. Ya sabemos que estás con ellos.
I know.
I'm sorry.
And we've seen this happen thousands and thousands of times in the past 6 months.
Just
you understand? It's cruel, but it is a cruel means to an end. So once labor becomes obsolete, the system turns hostile. That's a historical pattern in America. When you're useful, we'll tolerate you. You understand? But the moment the machines can do your job cheaper, faster, and without complaint, you go from being essential to being expendable. We've seen this play out in real time. Whether we're talking about automation, AI, robotics, when they replace the demand for low wage and manual labor, the U.S. has shifted from being welcoming illegal and undocumented immigrants through the back door to throwing them out the front by force. Shout out the nucleus. Now I'm gonna give you guys some laws. I want you to understand this, and this may jog some of you all's memory, but I am a lawyer, so I'm going, Under Title 42, the public health order originally tied to the beer virus. They threw out hundreds of immigrants were expelled without due process, without asylum, without hearings, without legal representation. It was an emergency loophole used for health, quote unquote, but really it was just about mass ejection. And even after the pandemic eased, the Biden administration continued to invoke it. You see, that lets you know that deportation is not a partisan issue. They all are on the same page. All that you see happening now under Donald Trump is that the hostility has turned up, and it is overtly brutal. You got family separation. It's just become the policy. Children taken from the parents, caged like animals. Somebody type alligator Alcatraz. Is that what they call it? You got these people storming these workplaces. That's where we want to get them out of there. We got it. They're just hardworking. We know that's the problem. These are not crooks and criminals. These are hardworking people. We know. Those are the ones we want to get out of here because we need to keep those jobs for our American citizens. That's what they're telling you. Shout out to Penny Ford. You don't think they realize they are raiding places where people are working? You don't think they see that clearly? That's what they were doing. That was the whole point. What part of that is confusing to you? That's the whole point. I don't see why that was in any way confusing anybody. I mean, it might have been confusing to you before, but now you understand. You got military style enforcement. They literally got the Marines involved in this. That's got to be a violation of the posse comitatus. This wasn't about crime. It's not about terrorism. It's not even about border security. It's about labor. The United States no longer needs all these millions of low-skilled workers. Shout out to Yashua Ben Joseph. I'm going to read all the super chats. We got 15 super chats, man. Y'all can do better than that. I know y'all learned something, but I'm going to let y'all make it. Hopefully y'all will get to where I need to be. So I'm going to start cussing. Now, better yet, I'm going to put Jesus in here on y'all. I'm going to let y'all listen to 5 minutes of gospel music. But let me get back to this lesson. We got machines to harvest the crops. We got robots that can clean the hotel rooms. You see? Undocumented, illegal, we tolerated them. They were cheap labor. But now they become a political liability. So what's the response? Not reform, not integration, not legalization, militarization. You understand me? Our current administration has deployed unprecedented force to remove people once we finish exploiting. This is what
y'all had black fatigue.
You see? We are getting them up out of here at this point. We don't need them anymore. And that's how America works. And that's the cold, hard truth about it. You got entire towns along the border that have been transformed into quasi-military zones with helicopters circling overhead, children afraid to attend school, ICE agents, DHS agents function more like special forces than immigration officers. This isn't about policy, it's about warfare. Here's the hypocrisy. The very same people who hired the undocumented workers to clean their homes and cook their food are now cheering as they rounded up and deported, aren't y'all? Tell the truth. You out here cheering. You might not be able to go to the taco truck, but you happy to see them go. Especially you brothers out here who are now getting jobs at these car washes and the contract. It's the first time you can go around the country. This is like some of the first time you actually see black men and white men. And I'm not saying this is exclusion of all Latinos, but now you see more black men and white men doing construction work. And it's the same politicians who turn a blind eye to exploited immigrant labor are now building careers on border toughness and national identity. Shout out to Solomon 321. Are you learning something? And your so-called liberal allies, Brother King, Dr. King, and Brother Malcolm X warned you about them. They're not fighting for immigrant rights. They're panicking about who's going to mow that lawn now that ICE is emptying the neighborhood. So let's call it what it is. The era of immigrant utility is over. And in its place, the U.S. has chosen surveillance, punishment, and mass expulsion. This is an economic purge. Now, I broke this down to you all, and I'm going to break it down to you again. We're going to talk about this 14th Amendment because this is a key point. Okay? The 14th Amendment was originally meant to give black people who were formerly slaves citizenship. Black people who were bred in this country on breeding farms after the transatlantic slave trade ended in 1808. They were bred, and my family too. You got family in Virginia, Maryland, and Kentucky. You ended up down in Louisiana, and you might be asking, how did my people get down there? You came from a breeding farm. We went from 400,000 in 1808 to over 4 million in 1860. It's because it was a deliberate state-sanctioned reproductive exploitation. That does not mean we didn't have black people here before slavery started officially in 1619. There were black people here. We came over with the Mayflower. We came with Columbus. You had black people who came with Abubakar II in 1311. We've been here. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that in addition to those people, there were black people who were 400,000 enslaved people, and by the time slavery ended, it was 4 million in 1860. And none of them were white, even if their daddy was white, granddaddy white, they were all of them. Nope, because we followed the legal doctrine of the Romans called partus sequitur ventrum, which means the race of the child flows with the mother. I also explained to you all that 1/3 of black people in Charleston, South Carolina owned slaves. They were free people of color. I explained to you already that the Emancipation Proclamation only freed the slaves in the Confederate States. It didn't free the slaves on the border states, nor did it free the slaves who were in the free northern states. It freed about 500,000 people. It didn't free anybody in Kentucky or Delaware. Okay? So now the war is over. Shout out to Andre Ugbo. The war is over. It's 1868. The war ended 3 years ago. The 14th Amendment. It was designed to give black folks citizenship. It was designed to give formerly enslaved black people citizenship. And if you read it, it actually says all persons born and naturalized in the United States and are subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens. That's going to be a hard concept for many of you all to understand. That's probably as hard as successor state liability in my reparations discussions. Every time I talk about reparations, the first thing folks say is, well, those nations in Africa didn't exist. So how can you get reparations from them? Successor state liability. You are responsible for the obligations and the debts of those states that you succeeded, whether it was a tribal nation or another country. That's international law. It's a concept. So, moving back to the 14th Amendment, jurisdiction thereof. Now, for 150 years, we've understood that foreign nationals and diplomats, their children born in this country, are not subject to the jurisdiction thereof. Shout out to Commander Bracey. We understand that this 14th Amendment was, in matter of fact, we understand that this 14th Amendment was specifically meant for black people. Why are they enforcing it now? We know that the framers' intent, we know what that was. This wasn't for foreign nationals. They discussed this in the 39th Congress. Every senator who took the floor agreed on the clause, this purpose, that this guarantees citizenship to free black slaves who would otherwise be stateless. Because remember, we went from being property to being free, but we were never given citizenship. In fact, there was a case, Dred Scott, that said a black man had no right that a white man had to observe. So we weren't citizens. We couldn't vote, couldn't do anything. We were stateless. We didn't have citizenship. Senator Jacob Howard said on the floor when they were talking about the amendment, it does not include persons born in the United States who are foreigners, aliens, or who belong to families of ambassadors. And other senators repeated that. And they knew it. So why are we enforcing this now? It's a means to an end. The reason that birthright citizenship is being challenged in 2025 is because the economic need that once made it politically useful to ignore the legal distinction, it doesn't exist anymore, family. Am I bringing this all in for y'all to understand? Y'all was like, this is a part of it. I don't know what's going on. Am I bringing it in? It's about the money. It's about the bag. See, for decades, undocumented immigrants were tolerated, if not officially welcomed, because they filled labor gaps in agriculture, domestic work, and construction. Even self-proclaimed liberal allies weren't advocating for their rights. They were worrying aloud, but not now. See? Now we're going to reinterpret this 14th Amendment so we can exclude people born of undocumented immigrants. Shout out to Black Adam. These anchor babies, we got to get them out of here. That's the problem. It's the same playbook. It's the same. Redefine the law when it no longer serves the dominant group. And if they can strip birthright citizenship from immigrants today, they can get rid of that unnecessary labor, that excess labor. Look, black people, we've been expected to be the foot soldiers marching for civil rights for everybody. While foundational black Americans, we bled for voting rights and desegregation. These immigrant groups were later allowed to leapfrog us economically and politically. Many became buffer classes. Separate. They were used by the system to take our power away, to undermine us, to keep us silent under the auspices of diversity. So they wouldn't have to address our actual grievances. That's why multiculturalism went unchecked, because it became a weapon. It dilutes our claims. Oh, y'all aren't black, y'all aren't Negro, y'all are POCs. Somebody type POCs in the chat. You are people of color. That allows them to erase our lineage, and it treats our unique history like just another flavor in the melting pot. What we must do as foundational black Americans is that we need to protect our identity, and we need to protect our interests. And we need to do so without apology and without compromise. So keep that in mind. So as automation replaces labor and surveillance replaces policing, a new caste system is forming. And this is the digital apartheid. AI algorithms now decide who gets hired and who gets housing and who gets flagged and who's a threat. These systems are built on biased data, and they reproduce discrimination at scale. In China, they call it a social credit system. In America, we call it predictive policy, or predictive policing, credit scoring, and facial recognition. The future isn't just about unemployment, it's about invisibility. People who are deemed useless to the economy won't just be poor, they'll be unseen, they'll be unheard, they'll be unreachable. And so welcome to the final stage of the elimination. It's not death, it's erasure. Now, I have a lot more to say in this blistering closing statement that I'm going to deliver to you all. But before I do, I want to make sure that you all learn something. If you learned something tonight, let me know you learned something. Did you learn anything tonight? If you learned something, let me know you learned. Don't type I learned something in the chat room. If you learned something, contribute to the super chat. I know you did. You learned a lot. Don't be cheap with Uncle D. I put in that work. I gave you something that nobody else is giving you. Tell the truth. I help you understand what's going on in this world that we live in. Didn't I? Be honest with yourself. So in this regard, go ahead and show me some love. But in the meantime, we got 19 super chats, and I want to take the opportunity to thank these people who contribute to these super chats. It would have been nice to have, I don't know, a couple of more, but you know, if you didn't learn anything, it is what it is. I guess I'll try harder next time. Okay, I will do my best next time, but you folks are a hard crowd to please. You know, if I can't please you with this one, because this was insightful, in my opinion, I thought I was doing pretty good, but I'll try again next time. But we got a little time. Y'all might be able to get me to where I need to be. But let's go ahead and give a shout out to all the beautiful people who contributed to the super chat. Thank you so much, Alonzo Dunn, He said, been a minute, glad to catch you. Thank you so much, family. I appreciate you too. And you know what? First, let me give a shout out to the Cash App people. If you contribute to the Cash App, then I won't say your name out here because I know you all like to keep it secret. We don't have a whole lot of Cash App, so I'm going to run that down. Shout out to Roadmaster 1. Shout out to my brother Senyoke. Shout out to Mr. Booker, Mr. Hall, Mr. Matthew. Thank you so much. I appreciate you all. And so we got the Cash Apps out the way. The Cash App is running across the bottom of the screen. I'm not finished yet. I got more to say. You know, I like you all said y'all missed these blistering closing statements, and I will give them to you. We got 24 super chats. Let's see if we can get to 30. All right, 30 super chats would be awesome. That's about 6 or so more. Sir Gatekeeper, welcome back. Thank you so much for the $10 super chat. TIQS, what's up, my brother? Bob, you didn't have this smoke when the police were stopping and frisking FBA people in the 90s. There you go. Good point. Good point, family. That's an excellent point. Who else we got up in here? Shout out to Leon Henny King. Thank you so much. We got 26 super chats. Let's get to 30. 26 super chat. Electoral College game counted immigrant. Oh yeah, brother. So here's another thing you need to understand. The census, the American census, every 10 years, even if a person is not here lawfully, they are counted as a person present in that state or that district. And so depending on how many people you have in your district is going to determine how many members of House of Representatives you have. So if they didn't count the illegal immigrants in California, they would lose a House seat, in Alabama and some other places would gain one. You understand? So for some particular parties, and the reason why you see a lot of these Democrats hemming and hawing and screaming and yelling is because they're literally going to lose power. So keep that in mind. People still have divergent interests, but the overall game is to get rid of this labor. But that was a very keen observation of you, Mr. Leon Henny King. Also, let's give a big up to Mr. It's Your Guy. Thank you, Mr. Spurling, for educating us and fighting for our equality and reparations from Black African countries. You are a hero. You should always be acknowledged. Soon 100K subscribers. Thank you so much, family. I appreciate you, man. You guys are getting me there, man. Y'all get me up to I got 30 super chats. I got 28 super chats. Let's get to 30. That'll be purty. The other thing is, I want to give a big shout out to Miss Yaya Kids. Thank you much. She said gifted 5 Dennis Spurling podcast memberships. Thank you so much, my love. Thank you. You're going to get the hand clap for that. Speaking of which, if you've been involved in a car accident, because clearly this YouTube ain't paying, this YouTube money ain't paying me much. If you've been involved in a car accident, if you need a lawyer, if you would like to do a consultation with me, that is not related to a car accident, because if you've been involved in a car, shout out to my man GCLA. If you've been involved in a car accident, contact me at my phone number, okay, at my office. You can call right now. Don't call me up and ask me about Black history. I don't want to talk to you about Black history. You call my office, okay? Let's talk about whatever legal matter you need to take care of. We don't handle, I keep these businesses separate, okay? But bottom line is, if you've been involved in a car accident in any state in the union, because I got friends everywhere, give me a call, okay? If you've had a trip and fall, give me a call. All right, that's my phone number on the screen, 713-229-0770. My reputation stands for itself. Been practicing law 25 years, licensed in Chicago, Illinois, New York, Arkansas, Louisiana, Texas, Michigan, and New York City. So not just New York City, but then I also have friends in many different states. So do me a favor, contact me if you've been in a car accident. And also, I am a member of the Hall of Fame of the Southern University Law Center in Baton Rouge. I have an excellent reputation. I have represented clients all throughout this nation. And so I would appreciate it if you all will consider me for your legal needs, specifically related to car accidents. I certainly know you all know my name, and as dedicated as I am to you and as thorough as I am, especially with these novel ideas, which I find tremendously interesting, by the way. You all make sure you all give me a call, okay? It's not a hard thing to do. You got friends who've been involved in the car accident. call me. As you clearly see, like I said, I'm not going to be able to sustain my lifestyle with these $5 super chats. But I appreciate it, baby. It definitely shows me that you love me. Shout out to Intricately Tangled. Thank you so much. We got 30 super chats. Let's try to get to 35. That'll be live. All right. But let's go ahead and continue. Thank you so much, Yaya. And also Blue Baggins. So again, y'all make sure y'all call me if you've been in a car accident. 713-229-0770. For those of y'all who read lips, look, 713-229-0770. Don't call me up playing. Call me up because you have business. But let's go ahead and continue. Blue Baggins, he said, when America protests and deports Mexicans, it's racist. When Mexicans in Mexico do the same, it's fighting gentrification. Isn't that interesting? How they got Mexicans in Mexico trying to get rid of folk. Shout out to Dusty Jones, 1999. He said, keep teaching, Uncle D. I shall, my brother, I shall. Joshua Ben Joseph, blacks now only make up 8% of the population in LA, Compton, Watts, South Central LA, predominantly Hispanic. Wow. In birthright citizenship now. Man. Wow, that is amazing. Man. Okay, we got 31 super chats. Give me the 35. That'll be live. Project Game Plan Entertainment says FBA stay on code, stay on business, and stay out the way. Ain't that the truth, man? You don't need these billy clubs and batons going upside your beautiful black head. You good. You don't need that. Focus on yourselves and what we got going on. Yeah, we got our own fight coming. You understand me? Shaw Shauna learned something that's great. I'm so proud of you. That's what I'm talking about, man. The Bible says that our people perish from the lack of knowledge. And what I'm trying to do is allow myself to be used by the Most High to bring forth knowledge to my people. Now, normally I'm just an advocate for black men, but at this point, that's just too easy because there's so many black men out here who are advocates for black men. They pushing me out of it. So I'm going to take on the harder task, and that is speaking up for my people when people are trying to talk bad about black folk and disparage our reputation. We are wonderful people. You hear me? We are. Look at me in my eyes, all four of them. We are wonderful, beautiful people. Black American people are some of the best people on the planet. We embrace people's culture. We love people. We love on them. We show them love, whether you're Asian, persuasion, Caucasian, whether you're a Mexican American, a regular American, a non-American, we show everybody love. We are some of the best people on the planet, and y'all have not treated us right. You see what I'm saying? And now you having to deal with who you are. We are not going to stand up and fight for you. We're going to sit down and kick our feet up and let you fight your own battles. Praise God. All right. And we have the right to do that. We have the right to preserve our sanctity and our peace because we've done it all before and you all didn't stand up. And now it's your turn to fight the fight. Nevertheless, thank you so much, my brother Joshua. He said they're trying to bring illegals to Baltimore now. Ooh. 31 super chats. Let's see if we can get to 35. Nucleus, appreciate your work, Uncle D. No problem, family. Thank you so much. Penny Ford, she said they have conducted the worst MK Ultra program disaster in the U.S. history. I'm glad they didn't get us. Keep up the great work. People need reprogramming. Yes, that's right. That's right. Joshua Ben Joseph, the southeastern U.S. and the last stronghold for FBAs. Yes, sir. The only region where Latins, Africans, Caribbeans, and Asians have not been able to gentrify. Yeah, but they're coming. And see, they're coming. So keep that in mind. So stay focused on that. We got to get stronger. We got to get better. We got to get more entrenched in our culture. We got to get rid of some of these YNs and these degenerates that are making us look bad too and making us easy targets. We need to rein in them. They need a good talking to. So keep that in mind. Also, Solomon 321 preaching good. Active duty Marines deployed Connors should tell us that things have changed. The government is not effing around. Ain't that the truth? Andre Ugbo 499. Thank you so much, Commander Bracy $5 super sticker. Thank you so much. And who else we got? We got my man Black Adam. He says Shazam. That's funny. NO watches regular news. Thank you so much. Tommy Cupcake gifted one Dennis Spurling podcast. Yeah, what's up with the membership? Let's get the membership popping, man. Why don't y'all do that? You know, I release a lot of the videos on the membership before they hit the air. So if you want to know a precursor, if you want to know what I'm gonna be talking about today, you can pop on my membership and see what I'm doing. And then before it gets released to the public. So membership has privileges. So you guys make sure you become members. Ken Hannon, yes, sir. Thank you so much. Also, we got 33 super chats. Let's see if we can get to 35. That's like 2 more. Mark the freelancer, people of colorless. Thank you so much. Kobe L.I., I'm broke, Uncle D. That's all right, brother. Don't worry about it. You here with me in spirit. And, you know, I appreciate you guys contributing to the super chat. It lets me know you appreciate this hard work. And it also justifies me, you know, spending all this time and going into all this detail. I'm not finished. I got more work. Shout out to Ray Pink. What's up, baby girl? I ain't seen you in a minute. Thank you so much for the $4.99. Also, Johnny Harris, great as usual. Thank you so much. AD for the $9.99 super sticker. Also, GCLA for the $20. Intricately Tangled. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you so much, sister. I appreciate you. Boris Barracuda. All right. Good looking out, man. Stunt Cat. More FBAs need to watch your channel. I wish they would. I wish I was subscribed to my channel. All you people who are watching and not subscribing. If all the people who watch my channel actually subscribe, I would probably be about 200,000 or 300,000 by now. But, you know, people are what they are. I know you're inundated, but as long as you're watching, I'm good with it. Penny 4, we are the best. That's right, baby. We are. We are the best. That's why they keep their foot on our necks. We are survivors, not victims. Yeah, but you know what? Just like a cat, we can get out from up under that. Thank you so much. And also, Ren RHE Heart Pink. Thank you so much, baby. I appreciate you. Now, we got 34 super chats. I appreciate everybody who contributed. It would have been great to get to 40. It would have been great to get to 50. That would have been nifty, but we haven't got there yet. But we got some time to go. Okay, now let me go ahead and talk to you all for a minute. I want you to listen to me. I'm gonna be here for a minute. This is something we need to talk about. Okay, foundational Black Americans. You've been the moral spine and the shock absorbers of this republic for more than 4 centuries. We bled so this country could breathe. We died so its constitution could live. We marched for everybody else. So they could stroll through the doors we blasted open with our skulls. Woo! But understand this. Those days of free protection, free advocacy, and free forgiveness are over today. Let me make this plain. You all, and I'm talking to the Caribbeans and the immigrants and the Latinos and the Asians, I'm talking to all us. You're not like us. Africans, Caribbeans, Asians, Latinos, you're not like us. You don't move like us. You don't think like us. And you most certainly don't fight like us. The fundamental difference between foundational Black Americans and every other group crying foul in 2025 is simple. You fled and we fought. We stayed and faced our oppression head on. We stood toe to toe with white supremacy by ourselves. We didn't run from the battlefield. We built lives on top of it. We didn't hide in foreign embassies. We marched. We bled. We were lynched. We were jailed, and we were killed right here on American soil. Now let's be specific. I'm calling names. Latinos. When I was a little boy, you rolled into South Central Los Angeles with nothing but hope and bus tickets. We shared our churches, our unions, our music. We bought from the little corner stores, the pendetas, right? And you hired your cousins. Now fast forward. You're tagging brown pride on walls with Kobe Bryant and his daughter on it. In your neighborhoods, in the cliques that you have, they're gunning down Black teenagers who are walking to school. You went from allies to colonizers in a single generation, and then you have the unremitted gall to demand we form human shields when DHS vans and trucks and unmarked vehicles start circling. Miss us with that hypocrisy. You have the numbers, 65 million, but you have no unity. Because the Mexicans and the Cubans and the Puerto Ricans and the Salvadorians and the Hondurans and the Dominicans and the Venezuelans and the Colombians, every one of you waves your own flag. And you think you're higher or better than the person next to you. And when it comes time to stand together, you break apart like glass. Let's talk facts. The majority of Latinos voted for Donald Trump in 2024. They voted for their own deportation. You want to know why ICE finds you so easily? Because your own people are snitching on you. Yes, your ex-wives and your girlfriends and ex-boyfriends and family members and co-workers, your jealous relatives are giving you up and your address. How do you think they're able to find you so easy? Your own people are snitching on you. And I'm not talking about, generally speaking, your Latino, but your own family members and friends are calling the DHS hotline, telling them where you're going to be, where you are right now, and they swooping in and picking you up. That is a level of betrayal. We don't do that. Foundational Black Americans don't hand our people over to the enemy. We don't break under pressure. We don't fracture when the fire gets hot. That's why we survived slavery. That's why we survived Jim Crow. That's why we survived COINTELPRO. That's why we survived mass incarceration, redlining, economic savage, the drug on wars, the war on drugs, and we still came out swinging. And that's why we gonna survive this too. Asians, calling them out. We recognize the fake smiles behind those plexiglass counters of yours. We remember Latasha Harlan. You sell us hair products and hot wings while whispering the N-word under your breath, pretending it's just business. You got our sisters in there doing their feet, scraping the crust off. Meanwhile, you export K-pop built on Black culture, but blacklist Black voices in your boardrooms. You lecture about hard work while bearing the fact that the U.S. government hand-delivered you minority contracts, reparations, and interest-free loans that Black communities still can't get. Then you expect solidarity when the same cops who broke our jaws rough you up for jaywalking. Solidarity is earned, not begged for when it's convenient. Now, to my African and Caribbean brothers and sisters, some of y'all step off the jet at JFK wearing dashikis and designer shades, calling us akatas. Boasting about how your homeland is never conquered, how you were never enslaved. Newsflash, homeboy. Our grandmothers faced down dogs and fire hoses so you could flex like that. Yet you use our fight songs and our scholarships and our visas and our universities, things that were set aside for us. And then you turn around, shout out to my man MC Recovery. Then you turn around and ridicule foundational Black Americans for not seizing the opportunity, for not taking advantage of all the abundance that America has to offer. You don't have that struggle. You haven't paid that debt. All you do is come over here and use us. That's not Pan-Africanism. That's parasitism. You are a parasite. I said it. Some people call you tethers. No, you're a parasite. You want to wear our struggle like it's designer clothing when it's convenient. But you don't want the pain that comes with it. You didn't come here to fight. You came here to benefit. You came here to blend in, to hide amongst us and hope nobody noticed that you lack the scars that we have. You spent decades looking down your noses as foundational Black Americans, calling us akata, saying we're lazy, calling us uneducated, telling us we have no culture, telling us we're ungrateful, telling us all we do is beg. But see, now ICE is knocking at your door, and they know your name. And suddenly you want to join hands, but your skills aren't sharp. Your roots aren't deep. And your will to fight is weak. Because see, when the rubber meet the road, in your country, you fled. And you wonder why Black Americans aren't clogging the highways with protest signs to stop the deportations and your detentions and these surveillance dragnets. The answer is simple. Reciprocity never arrived. You enjoyed the banquet, but never washed a single dish. See, anti-Black racism is your default setting, whether it's a Korean beauty supply owner choking a Black girl or a Salvadorian gang writing NK, no Blacks, on apartment doors. Your contempt has been loud and clear. Shout out to Donna Means. We learn the cost of misplaced mercy. Every time a Black person, a Black American invests political capital in another group, we get redlined, we get underfunded and blamed for the fallout, while the beneficiaries sprint past us on an economic track that we paid. So we got a new policy. No more co-signing. We aren't calling senators for you. We aren't draining cash apps for you. And we damn sure ain't standing between you and DHS when you treated us like we were the trespassers in our own zip codes. Deportation, detention, that's between you and Donald Trump and Uncle Sam and ICE and DHS. Reflect on the venom you spit at our Black kids before you asked us to chain ourselves to deportation buses. See, respect is the entry fee and you didn't pay it. Let me say that again. Respect is the entry fee and you didn't pay it. You want coalition now? I ain't heard no public apology. We need to get some anti-Blackness audits in your communities and your culture. We need to get some reparative actions, not just hashtags and rhetoric. The week your papers expire, the day ICE starts knocking at your door, the day them jump out boys come for you in them Fords and Chevys, you bought into the lie. No different than the Asians. Model minority, quiet, obedient, proximity to whiteness professionals. You let them use you as a weapon against Black people. Convinced you had found the safety in assimilation. I'm talking to the Asians. Did you forget about what happened to the Philippines when the United States invaded? What about Vietnam? What about Korea? What about Hiroshima and Nagasaki? The blood of your ancestors is still in America's war trail, and still you thought you could be honorary white folks. No different than the Latinos. Y'all played yourselves. See, foundational Black Americans have been the unpaid cavalry for every liberation cause on this soil. Whether we talk about abolition, whether we talk about women's suffrage, labor rights, civil rights, LGBTQ protect QTI, XYZ protections, immigrant amnesty, we fought. Even right up to this Hamas Palestine thing. And the thing is, when we were out there fighting, you all were feasting. And then when we said, hey, what about us? You flicked us off the table. And now the kitchen is closed. No, nobody eating off our table anymore. From here out, understand the doctrine. No respect, no alliance. No reciprocity, no rescue. You violate us, face your fate alone. The favor exchange bank is empty. The gate is locked. And the next time you look for a shield, remember, the people who forged it are done bleeding for ingrates. That's not anger, that's policy. Our unity as Black Americans is our weapon. It always has been. We have always understood that we are all that we have. We stood united in slavery and Reconstruction and civil rights movement. And now, economic warfare, cultural erasure, we're going to stand shoulder to shoulder. We don't have the luxury of tribal divisions or this gender war. That's over. We don't have time for it. And the thing about us is we don't tolerate betrayal. We enforce a code and we hold the line. Sellouts, Sambos, Uncle Toms, they get dealt with. That's what separates us from you. You all want to be white. And now you want to fight against the white man where he treat you like the brown and the Asian and the colored folk that you are. We didn't do what you did. We always knew what side we stood on. White folks always knew what side we stood on when push came to shove. And that's why we survived. And that's something that no other people on this soil have been able to do, even the Native Americans that immigrated here from Siberia. We outlasted them because we've turned our pain into political muscle and our artistic genius and economic power. That's what we did. So now in 2025, with 36 super chats, as the machinery of deportations turns toward you all, you come calling, but the line is busy. And we're not accepting any text messages. You thought we was gonna just show up, huh? You thought we was gonna always be there, huh? You thought we was gonna fight your battles for you, huh? You thought we was gonna fight for you like we did for ourselves, huh? You mocked us, huh? You disrespected us, huh? You aligned yourselves with the oppressors, huh? You thought you were separate from our suffering, huh? But now you want to cash in, huh? You want us to sacrifice, huh? Well, you received no quarter from us. No protests, no marches, no cover, no defense. You're on your own. And maybe once you've been through what we've had to endure for 400 plus years, once you've lost everything you didn't think you could be taken, once the illusion of inclusion is shattered, you'll understand where we are and why you'll never become us. Now, let me have a candid conversation. I want to have a candid conversation because I ain't finished. I got a lot to say. And I got 36 super chats. Y'all need to get me to 40 because I'm going to keep talking. Now, let's talk about jealousy. And let's talk about the real insidious reason why Latinos and Asians and Africans and everybody's being targeted, specifically Latinos. There's 65 million of them, something that they're very proud of, and they're doing well. Shout out to them. They're doing well, aren't they? You all are working hard and living the American dream. And this, along with projections that your population will grow exponentially and soon become the majority. Isn't that what they say? They're proud of it. And they've announced it out loud. Somebody say loud with it. They're growing. They got growing financial influence and political power. They're gaining. You all are living the dream, baby. But see, what you don't seem to understand is that the American dream was never meant to exist for non-whites, at least not in practice. And when you present yourself as a challenge to this white power structure, especially when you're not white, you're seen as a threat. It happened to the Jews. It happened to that. It's all of them had to deal with. And the truth is, you will never be fully accepted as white. When, shout out to Sage Talk Media, we need 3 more super chats. When white people look at you, Latino folk, many become jealous. And this jealousy fuels a narrative that they're inherently better and more deserving and entitled to dominance financially, socially, and politically. This pattern has always played out repeatedly throughout American history. Shout out to Nucleus. Take, for instance, some part of our history that you never learned and probably have no interest in learning. Red Summer. It was the summer of 1919 when racial tensions exploded across cities like Chicago, Washington, D.C., Elaine, Arkansas, and other Black communities that began to thrive economically. They owned businesses, they were buying land, they were building neighborhoods, and guess what happened? Shout out to real Billy Ray Valentine. White mobs, driven by jealousy and fear of Black prosperity, because we were living the American dream. They just attacked Black neighborhoods. They raped women. They pillaged, they burned. Everything had been built. They burned it down. They destroyed it. Their goal was to keep Black Americans beneath them economically and socially. Similarly, in the 1920s, Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma, was a thriving Black community with banks and shops and a sense of independence. But in 1921, a white mob, fueled by racial animus and economic jealousy, destroyed it in a brutal massacre, leaving hundreds of Black people unalive and Black wealth decimated throughout the 1950s and 60s. And yeah, Rosewood too. Another incident where white mobs came and destroyed what they saw as Black prosperity. And this is something that happened thousands of times throughout America. White jealousy. Look at what happened in the 1950s and 60s. Systematic policies like redlining and enacted by the Federal Housing Administration systematically prevented Black folks from obtaining mortgages and home ownership and basically locked us out of the middle class. In cities like Chicago, Detroit, New York, they saw Black people confined in the ghetto and limited economic opportunities. Meanwhile, the GI Bill, which helped white folks coming back from the war get homes and start businesses, was excluded for Black veterans who fought just as hard and were as noble. During that same time period, Hollywood and mass media flooded the Black communities with propaganda portraying Black men as pimps, drug addicts, and criminals, while neglecting positive role models, keeping in mind at that time, Black men and Black women were the most married group of people in America. It was in the upper 90s percentile. And this is how they're portraying us, as pimps and drug addicts and criminals. You know it was a concerted effort. So in the 1950s and 60s, what did we see? We saw a rise, or should I say the 1980s and 90s, we saw a rise of gangster rap, over-sexualized images of Black women, and it further degraded the Black male and female identity. Shout out to Sage Talk Media. Then you got the welfare policies like Section 8 that introduced in the 1960s and other social programs. While aimed at alleviating poverty on paper, it contributed to the breakdown of the traditional family structures. And many young Black men were pushed out of the communities. And it led to multi-generational cycles of poverty, incarceration, and confusion about identity and masculinity because there wasn't no daddies in the house. So by the 21st century, here we are. The Black community is faced with dramatic decline, marriage rates plummeted, fatherhood decreased, and incarceration rate has soared. Now, historically, Black Americans have built thriving communities from Cali to New York, Georgia to Seattle. We own hotels, restaurants, schools. We even pioneered industries like automotive and transportation. Black entrepreneurs like Madam C.J. Walker. The woman built a whole cosmetic empire in the early 1900s. Then you have people like Garrett Morgan, the inventor of the traffic light. The man exemplified Black innovation. Yet many of these successes were targeted through deliberate efforts to foster jealousy, racial resentment because the white folks were jealous. And so what did it do? It led to destruction and suppression and Black wealth. They did the same thing in Los Angeles. They did that to the successful Black people. They purposely targeted. And so now that same dynamic is happening to Latinos. As your communities grow stronger economically and politically, you're building businesses and owning homes and gaining influence, you're going to face that similar jealousy and opposition that we had to deal with. This is not accidental. It's part of a long-standing pattern rooted in racial jealousy, fear of losing dominance, and efforts by powerful interests to maintain control. You didn't know that? All the Latinos watching this should donate to me, because I know none of your leaders are teaching you this. I know they're not, because I hear you. Y'all just on the internet complaining. But see, understanding our history is crucial, but you're too selfish to do that. See, it's not just about numbers. You could be 65 million or 650 million. It's about a cycle of envy and sabotage and systematic barriers designed to keep your brown behinds marginalized in communities beneath the white ruling class. Recognize these patterns can help you see the bigger picture and work toward true equality and justice. And had you not been practicing that anti-black racism that y'all been practicing, maybe one of us would have told you. But, you know, since you want to be like that, it's going to be like that. Nevertheless, throughout American history, many black entrepreneurs and community leaders and business owners in the South and across the country, we built thriving enterprises. And it challenged the economic dominance of white supremacists who felt that they were better than us. See, these black business people, whether they own a grocery store or a barbershop or a restaurant or some other small business, they were getting targeted precisely because they posed a threat to the financial interests of the white folks in the town next door. You understand? Many of the black people who were lynched during the lynching era were business competitors of white folk. Y'all ain't figured that out yet? You want to know why they going after Puffy? Because Puffy's a rich black man. Same reason they went after Bill Clinton. Bill Cosby. Same reason they going after tried to go after Sean Carter, Jay-Z. This is it. You didn't figure this out. They went after Oprah. This is it. See, the white supremacist system is about economics, if nothing else. And it's long been rooted in controlling not just political power, but economic resources. When black communities started to grow economically, owning land, operating businesses, creating wealth, they threatened to establish racial hierarchy. You understand? And this led to violent pushback, often under the guise of racial violence or intimidation. For example, and I spoke about this earlier, you had in the 20th century all these black entrepreneurs in the South. They faced all this hostility, whether we talking about Red Summer in Tulsa, Oklahoma, Chicago, Greenwood District in Black Wall Street. These white folk were jealous. In the 1930s and 40s, you had black business owners in the South, places like Atlanta, Georgia, Birmingham, Alabama. They faced economic sabotage and intimidation and violence whenever they expanded or threatened white business interests. And many black grocery store owners, like those in the segregated neighborhoods, competed directly with these white-owned stores. And because those black folks challenged the economic status quo, they became targets for harassment, arson, and even unalivement. Look at Henry Hank Aaron. In the 1950s, he was just a small grocery store owner in Mobile, Alabama. He was known for his community service. But the threat from white competitors and racism was constant. And it was many black business owners who faced the same similar threats. They were unalive for their economic independence and their ingenuity, the American dream. In the 1960s, during the Civil Rights Movement, you had black businessmen and entrepreneurs and leaders. They pushed for economic empowerment. They wanted to own banks and real estate and business, and they challenged the racial economic barriers. But they were often met with violence, economic boycotts, or legal hurdles, just designed to keep them small or shut them down entirely. The whole unalivement of Medgar Evers in 1963, he was a prominent civil rights leader in Mississippi. It was partly rooted in his efforts to promote Black economic and political empowerment, but mostly the economic. See, many white folks saw Black economic advancement as a direct threat to their control, and their violence was aimed at maintaining dominance. They used lynchings and bombings and economic sabotage to intimidate Black business owners and leaders from expanding their influence. This is a pattern, and it continues today. Black entrepreneurs and successful people, community, we always face these systematic barriers, this racial jealousy, and sometimes it's just outright hostile from those who see Black progress as a threat to white dominance, whether through violence or economic exclusion or political suppression. They can't wait to talk bad about you. They can't wait to see you stripped of what you have and embarrassed. Listen closely. One of the most important lessons Black people have learned over generations. I want y'all to hear me. One of the most important lessons that Black folk have learned over generations is to be cautious about how you reveal and share with others, especially white folks. I'm just saying. I know it's some white folks looking, and I'm just saying. Because see, historically, Black communities have understood that inviting white folk into your private spaces or showing how well you live can backfire on you. It can ride down the street in a nice car and see if you don't get pulled over by the police and labeled a dope dealer. Because you must have got it the wrong way. Because you're not entitled to that. Because white supremacy tells me I'm better than these Black folk, and I'm driving a 2018 Ford Taurus, and he got a brand new a German with a German woman in the passenger seat with him, a blonde. See, it's not just about hatred, it's about distrust. It's about protecting what we built. You see what I'm saying? Black folk generally don't hate nobody. But we do have a healthy distrust for white people. I'm gonna just put it out there. It's a secret. I just let you know. Most intelligent Black people are raised and rooted, and we have a healthy distrust of white folk. I know we got our white friends, I'm saying. Because see, Black folks have learned that when white people come into our homes and they see our success or our homes and our businesses and our lifestyle, they often become jealous. And that jealousy can turn into hostility. It can turn into sabotage. It can turn into violence. That's why we've developed cultural discretion. We often downplay our achievements. We keep our successes private. We don't necessarily broadcast our wealth or progress openly. This whole phrase has been overused lately by folk who don't even understand the history. Inviting someone to the cookout. Somebody type cookout in the chat room. It's a cultural code. It means that someone is cool enough to be trusted, but only within certain boundaries. It's a symbolic way of saying you're part of the community, but only so far. We don't invite outsiders, especially white people, into our private events or our personal spaces unless we really trust them. Even then, we caution. Here's another one. You see it happening all the time. You at a Black club and you see a white person dancing and having a good time, just as awkward and offbeat as can be. We would make sure they have a great time. Yeah, that's right, you doing it. Over there looking like a wet chicken. But we make sure they have a good time. Why is that? It's one of those cultural things that we do. Because we know if you got an angry white person running up out of there, next thing you know, the lynch mob is coming. They don't have to tell us. It's cultural. This is our culture. See, Black communities have learned the hard way that too much openness can lead to betrayal or envy. Historically, whenever Black people gained economic or social power, white opposition intensified. They would sabotage Black businesses, incite violence, or try to undermine our progress. That's why maintaining a level of privacy and strategic silence about our success has been vital for our survival. At this particular time, Black people are some of the richest people on the planet. If you took all our annual money and put it together, we are the 9th richest nation on the planet. But you'll never know We still acting like we poor, but 65 or 60% of black people reached black men reached the middle class by middle age. Shout out to Johnny Harris. We got 41 super chats. Get me to 50. That'll be nifty. Now, I ain't finished. Let me say this. To you Latino folk who are striving and succeeding, remember, there's wisdom and discretion. Y'all a little too braggadocious. Too many quinceañeras, too many big trucks. You need to protect your success. You need to keep your community and your business dealings private when necessary. Be cautious about who you invite to your inner circle. What do y'all call it? What do they call it? The carne asada? Is that what you call it? I guess that's our equivalent of the cookout. Be careful who you invite to the carne asada. See, the lesson from Black history is clear. Sometimes silence and strategic boundaries are what keep us safe and strong. Black people got 1,700,000 millionaires in the United States, and you would never know. Black people have more millionaires in the United States than all of Mexico and all of the continent, all of the countries in Africa, but you would never know, would you? Now, to my African brothers and sisters, I truly love you all. I'm just extremely disappointed in you all. And so I want you to listen carefully. And again, I address you harshly because y'all should know better. And we are supposed to be brothers and sisters. And I want you to listen carefully. I'm going to say this from a place of love. While it's natural to be proud of how far you come and what you're achieving in America, whether it's dominated in colleges or holding political seats like Kamala Harris and Sheila Jackson Lee, both Jamaican women. And there's so many other people in the Congress, so many Nigerian doctors and so many professors. This is great. Applaud. That's great that you all are being successful here in the United States, walking down the path that we paved for you. It's great. But there's an important lesson to remember. Black America has learned over generations that boasting about success too openly is going to put the target on your back. Not it can, not it might, it will. And white folk, white supremacists see your rise, and whether it's in education or politics or business, they don't celebrate it. They become jealous and threatened. And that's why many of us have learned to be discreet, if not to play down things, to keep our success private, to protect what we built. Your success is admirable, but it also makes you a target of resentment and hostility. Don't forget your black skin. Don't forget the skin you're in. This is a part of this part of a long history that black folk have faced in this country for centuries. When black communities begin to thrive with businesses and land and influence, we're attacked, we're sabotaged, we're unalived because prosperity challenges white dominance. The same pattern is at play today. In fact, many of the influential figures in Congress from the Caribbean, like the Black Congressional Congress, heavily Caribbean, they're seen as symbols of success to some, but to others that success fuels hostility. See, those people, those white folk who are racist, and it's not all of them, but it's enough of them, they see you as a threat. And they want to diminish that control. They want to send you back to your homeland, whether through political attacks or economic pressure or just social marginalization. So while you see your achievements as progress and remember that the strategy of black communities has often been to stay guarded, not to broadcast every success. And look, understand that revealing too much can make you vulnerable anyway. Discretion is a tool for survival. In the end, the lesson from Black America's history is clear. Celebrate your success, but do so with wisdom. Protect what you've earned, but be strategic about how you reveal and whom you trust. Because historically, the more visible you are, the more likely you are to become a target of those who want to see you fail or send you back to where you came from. So I wish you all good luck, because you're going to need it. Nevertheless, I want to give a big shout out to everybody who contributed to the Super Chat, the Cash App, and the PayPal. I've enjoyed this broadcast. I hope you all have enjoyed this broadcast too. Remember, like, share, subscribe to this page. We are marching towards 100,000. I think I deserve that after all these years. I certainly do appreciate everybody who's contributed to the Cash App, and all of you all who will contribute to the comment section. I believe it's called the Super Heart. Those of you guys who contribute to the After Chef. Shout out to the replay gang. I appreciate everybody, man. God bless y'all. This is Uncle D. And as I always say at this time, I'm out.
Dennis Spurling.
In the city where the lights don't sleep, Uncle D got the vibe so deep. Representing men strong and free. Dennis Spurling's the king of the spree. In the streets where the rhythm flows, black men rising, that's how it goes. Uncle D got the truth to show. In his heart, that's where the fire glows. Late night tuning, light up the stream. Dennis Spurling, wisdom gleam. Voices whisper truth and insight. In his podcast, feel the light. Harmony in every word. Truth and laughter you've heard. Well, that's all right. Wave after wave of smooth delight. Dennis brings the dark to light. That's the Elizabeth, baby! Share the tales unfold. Stories born like morning gold. Feeling the wisdom and the subscribing like time after time.
Black men, black men, black men. I want to salute you. Your incarceration rate is down. The education rate is up. We up. We went from, we are doing great for ourselves. So you should salute yourself. Shout out to all the brothers out there, whether you're a truck driver or an engineer, whether you're an electrician or garbage man, a doctor, a lawyer. If you're a hard-working brother, if you fresh out the penitentiary, but you on your grind and you doing it legal and you trying to make amends for yourself, man, I salute you too, brothers. God bless you. This is Uncle D, and you know, I'm out.